welcome to another fun-filled edition of Second City Sports Star Friday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. You want to know why? Because we said so, that's why. And also, you can catch up with our other 5 live shows throughout the week. You happen to miss them, you can go back and listen and watch them at your own leisure. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. And speaking of Sports Zone Chicago, you can find us on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, find Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. If you want to catch our podcast, you can do so by subscribing to War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. So just make sure you type this in your search engine box as you're ready. WARR on Anchor. Once again, that's at War on Anchor on all podcast platforms. And make sure you give the guys at War Media a follow on all social media platforms at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, that War Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll in or do something stupid, I give Lakeena full power to give you fools to bill and beer boot.
Bye-bye.
I love when she says that. But before we get started, we must remind you that you can now catch Sports Zone Chicago now on Roku TV. That's right. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. That's right. Liam Hendricks likes it. You should too. Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap into the sports folder and download Sports Zone Chicago app that way. If you don't have a Roku TV, that's okay. I know you have a streaming device or two laying around, your iPad, iTouch, iPhone, your Chromebook, your laptop. Just download the Roku TV app today and access Sports Zone Chicago that way. So get down with the squad, get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is also now available now on Roku TV 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and 7 days a week. There goes the long-ass intro. Lakeena is frozen now. Well, let's get the show started. Right now, let's get it started with Chicago baseball. Lakeena, the White Sox. That's right, my Chicago White Sox are 70-68. Lakeena, since we last talked, which was a week ago today, they were preparing for a big 3-game weekend series against the Minnesota Twins. A lot of things have happened since we last talked. They decided let's play our best baseball of the year to this point. They took 2 out of 3. Dylan Cease last Saturday almost had a no-hitter. Then on their West Coast road trip, which they're currently on right now, Seattle, which they did well in that building last year. We must remind you folks, but they really did something they haven't done in a long time. They won a series out on the West Coast of Seattle, and last night, Oakland, where it's a place that's been a house of horrors for a long time, they have only 1 victory, 2 victories in Oakland since 2017. Guess what they did? They scored 14 once, and they won. Lakeena, I'm not asking you to jump back on the bandwagon, but are you starting to feel encouraged by this team, or are you still waiting to see more?
Yeah, you beat up the Athletics. Yippee! Good for you. Good for you. Good for you, says your White Sox. Okay, look, you won 2 out of 3 against the Mariners. Fine. Look, you had a great start to a 4-gamer against Oakland. You should be able to, at the very least, take 2 out of 3 from Oakland. So, okay, fine, cool. You still got a very tough schedule as you finish up the season. You still got to play the Padres, and you still got to play the Twins and the Guardians multiple times still left too. So
they're done with the Twins for the year.
Well, yeah, they are done with the Twins, but again, they still got to play the Guardians a lot, even more time. So, but let's not, look, not gonna jump on the bandwagon. Look, if you want to do it, have at it. Look, I said we got a low show day. I don't want to go too much too far and too much into the White Sox, but okay, fine, keep it going. Now we're told La Russa might be back next week. That's what they're saying. So let's see how this goes. I don't want to hear people say that. Look, it seems like they're playing the same thing as they play. We've seen this, this cycle all year round. We're just seeing it with Miguel Cairo, an interim manager who's been around the game for a few years, who's played in the league. He knows how it goes. He's been a bench coach, for years now, so he knows what to do and what not to do in these situations. So he'll probably end up getting a managerial job at some point, if not after this season. So I'm not going to sit here and say, look, you needed meetings, you needed this and that to kind of like get it going. You're in a tough division, whatever. But again, I'm not going to, I'm not going to go at it just yet. I mean, like, if y'all want them to make the playoffs, go ahead. But, Tim Anderson will be back next week. It looks like that's the rumor. So again, fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. And look, the Guardians and the Twins are going to be playing each other this weekend. They got a really tough schedule there. The Guardians have a very, they have kind of like a weird schedule too, like the White Sox do. So, well, I'm not going to, give them real credit just yet, but okay, fine. You're 2 games over 500. Yippee. Keep it going.
Here's the thing. Dylan Cease is locked in. I know he didn't have his best stuff last night, but it was good enough, especially after the Sox gave him the big lead early against Oakland. He still had 9 strikeouts through 6 shutout innings. And you saw what he did last Saturday night. I'll get more into my personal story with that game later. But Dylan Cease is like that right now. Lance Lynn, who pitched the hell of a game on Monday. Remember, I said this at the All-Star break. Lance Lynn needs to have a 2005 Jose Contreras type of run. And right now he's doing it. Before Monday's game, his ERA was under 2.5, and I know it was lowered after that great start on Monday. So you're encouraged to see what you saw from him. Now Lucas Giolito, who I believe is pitching tonight, I don't have the schedule in front of me just yet. He looked good in his last start against the Minnesota Twins. Yes, the Sox lost, but the only mistake he did, he gave up that gopher to Carlos Correa, and the White Sox imploded after that. But you starting to see, hopefully you start to see signs from Giolito. Michael Kopech pitched on Wednesday. He didn't look his best, but the White Sox, something they haven't been doing all year. They trailed by 4 runs or more, and I think this is the first time they've done that all year to come back to win. So you started to see signs from there. Now, as far as the hitting is concerned, Eloy Jimenez, since he's returned from his injury during the All-Star break, he's hitting the cover off the ball. He had another big home run last night. Johan Makata, where he's been? Where have you gone, young man? He hit 2 long balls last night. But the key here, especially since he's been put at the leadoff spot, Elvis Andrews. He's been on the team for almost 3 weeks now. He's made an immediate impact. So there's some encouraging signs here. I'm with you. The White Sox need to keep it going because all year, as we talked about, they haven't been able to beat the bad teams consistently. This is the time to do it. You have 3 games left with Oakland. Nice start last night, but you need to keep this train rolling.
You still got to play Cleveland multiple times. Like I say, you got to play Minnesota, a couple more times. You finish up the season against them. You play Colorado after the series. So again, we got to keep it going. So because we got a little show today. I don't want to get into this whole thing about the White Sox. So I'm gonna go to switch gears to talk about the Cubs. They start a new series. We get a series against San Francisco. They're out of the playoffs. So I mean, if you're a Cubs fan, I mean, I think at this point, you lose 2 out of 3 to the Reds. I don't know why or how. I mean, you lost a tough one, a couple of days ago, 4-3. But again, I guess the race to like 70, race to 65, I guess, is still going on. So you should be able to do that against the Giants. You get them at home starting today. It'll be interesting to see how they finish this because, Contreras is going to be gone for a couple of weeks and you got other guys need to kind of step up a little bit. So I think for the Cubs, I think, look, you got your young guys going. You got Suzuki seems to be running the ball, hitting the ball pretty well. You got Horner, all the other guys are kind of starting to sort of heat up a little bit, trying to get that race to 65. So what do you think? How do you think about the series against the Giants?
The Giants has had a disappointing year. If you're the Cubs, you can build all that. You can win this series this weekend. You mentioned some of the young guys are starting to step out, like Nico Horner and the rookie Nelson Velasquez. I know Christopher Morel, another rookie, has taken a step back, but you love the enthusiasm that you seen from him this season. But the starting pitching has been kind of rough. And we saw that last weekend in that series at St. Louis when they got swept. I know Justice Hill, who I believe is one of the young guys you need to build off of as far as your starting rotation is concerned. He's hit a rough patch. I know Drew Smiley, who, I don't know if you saw him. He was mic'd up for a YouTube broadcast yesterday. His teammates was throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him yesterday. In a nice humorous moment there, but I think maybe you could build off him. But their bullpen, especially Mark Leiter, yeah, he was on the mound who blew the game yesterday. Their bullpen, as we talked about Lakeena lately, it has not been their saving grace. It's been struggling these last few weeks, and hopefully we'll see what GM Jed Hoyer does during his off season, because I don't know where you get it, because the future of this team, as far as the bullpen is concerned, is not on this roster. You had a respectable bullpen early in the season. You traded half of them away, including David Robertson, as we told you that he was going to go. But their bullpen is their Achilles heel right now, and as we told you, their offense scores dispersed. When it goes up, it goes up. But it's just that their complete team, as far as the future, we all know it's not on the field, but you have to give them credit for at least trying hard.
Yeah, they are. I think that's all you can ask for if you're a customer. You want to like try hard. You want to, like I said, the race for 65 wins. They seem to have like a path towards it. I mean, they can probably, the Giants are having up and down. They're out of the playoffs. They got a tough one against the Mets next week. Then they got Colorado, and they got to go at Miami and at Pittsburgh. Then they got Philly. So, and they've got their last 6. Oddly enough, is a home and home against the Reds. So, I think they could definitely get there. So it's going to be kind of hard. Now, hopefully, when Contreras comes back in a couple of weeks, we'll see if they can kind of give them that spark that they need. But yeah, that bullpen is starting to kind of fall back to earth a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. Now, what caught your eye in MLB this week? Some pretty interesting things happened this week.
Yeah.
MLB.
As we said before, Lakeena, I remember, I think around the All-Star break, I said the New York Mets, who had that big lead in the NL East, I said, don't count out Atlanta just yet. And I said the New York Mets will probably win the NL East, but do not count out the Braves just yet. The Braves are making one last run, and the last time the Mets were in second place was April the 12th. The Mets got their act together. They swept Pittsburgh, while Atlanta's taking care of business on the road. I know they have a big series against Seattle this weekend. We'll preview the rest of the weekend schedule coming up in a minute. But Atlanta is going on another big run, and the New York Mets better be careful. Max Scherzer is on the IL for the next 2 weeks, and they better get him back healthy just in time for the playoffs, because if they don't, it's going to be trouble for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the AL East is becoming more and more competitive, and a lot. We were guilty of this too earlier in the season. Said that the Yankees were going to run away and hide. Well, now the Rays are 4.5 back, and now the Blue Jays are now just 6 back now. And just want to give a shout out to Mr. Bo Bichette. I mean, he's been hitting the ball, tearing off the ball out. He became the second player in Jays history with a 3-run home run before his 25th. It's before his 25th birthday. The other is a teammate Vlad Jr. did it twice last year. So entering today, that game on Tuesday, he only had 2 home runs off lefty this year. All 3 of his home runs for his Baltimore in that series, were off lefty. So they were able to save that series against Baltimore. And now they're only 6 back because the Yankees have been sort of like been slowly going down, and they lost. So it's.
They lost yesterday, but they took the first 3 games of that series against Minnesota.
Yeah. So, but even still, I mean, that Minnesota series, I know that they felt that they probably should have swept that one. But even still, what else kind of caught my eye here? I think the Dodgers, despite all their injury issues and such, they're still playing pretty well. I think they're just sort of. I know they're kind of just waiting for the playoffs to come up, and they're just waiting, and they don't want to. I actually don't want to rest on their laurels too much. So good for the Dodgers. Also, it seems like the Cardinals have kind of run away from the and hide in the NL Central. I mean, I know Yadier Molina homered twice in a game this week. And Albert Pujols is still hitting the ball pretty well too. So definitely one of those things where you're kind of like, okay, the Cardinals, are they the team to beat in the National League? Can they give the Dodgers and the Mets and the Braves a run for their money?
It's going to be tough. I know they picked up Jordan Montgomery at the trade deadline. He's been great for them in a surprising move for the Yankees. And like you said, that offense has picked up a little bit. I know Albert Pujols is stuck at 695, career home run 695. But I am concerned about their offense. I know you have Nolan Arenado. I know you have Paul Goldschmidt, who's one of the candidates for NL MVP. But they're the quote unquote the rich version of the Cubs. When they're scoring runs in bunches, they're one of the best teams in the league. When they struggle to score runs, it's terrible. So that's what I'm worried about as far as the Cardinals are concerned. Now the Dodgers, I know they have injuries right now, especially in their starting rotation. We know that Walker Buehler will be gone for the year because of Tommy John surgery. You better hope that Clayton Kershaw doesn't get hurt, or Anderson, or Tommy Goslin, because Tony Goslin, I should say, because if one of them gets hurt between now and the start of the playoffs, you can say goodbye to the Dodgers. I know they have the bats, but we all know come playoff time, it's pitching and defense that wins games because runs come at a premium.
The defenses have been the problem. It's really been their pitching. If their pitching, especially their bullpen, can kind of stay solid, I think that Dodgers can go far. And I think they know what the problem was last year. It was because of the pitching and the defense. And if they've improved on the defense, now can they just need to get the pitching going? So hopefully Kershaw can stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I think the Dodgers can kind of be okay there in that sense. Now the Cardinals, I mean, like their offense, sometimes their offense is really good, sometimes their offense doesn't show up. So for me, with the Cardinals, that's kind of like my number one concern with them. So I don't know if they can, keep this little roll they're on up. But again, we'll have to wait and see there. Now the Mets and the Braves. Look, the Mets, hopefully Scherzer, when he does come back, he can get back to being like the Scherzer that we know. That's going to be kind of like the wild card. That's going to be the $1 million question. I mean, where is that consistency? And then we're not seeing it now with the Mets. That's why there's still only a half game up on the Braves right now. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. When now our buddy, our fearless leader, Mr. Sean, the Superback Sierra, has a special announcement that he wants to make. What up, Sean?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Busy.
I'm good. I'm good. So we got it signed, sealed, and delivered. I couldn't make I made the announcement on my show. I couldn't do it sooner than today. It's been done it just took a minute. But every Monday on Sean and Maya in the morning, we're going to have a guest who's going to join us throughout the football season. And you know what? I'll let him explain it.
Hey, Chicago. I'm Eric Kramer, former QB of your Chicago Bears. And yes, the rumors are true. I'm joining the Sports Zone Chicago family. You can catch me the day after every Bears game on Sean and Maya in the morning. Be sure to tune in every week starting Monday as I break down the game with the Superback and the Sports Chica. See you Monday, and bear down, Chicago.
Yes.
Hey, very nice. All right, because y'all interviewed with Eric was about this time. Well, I think like last year went viral. I think it's already had about 700 views on YouTube, and I'm sure it's got like hundreds of views everywhere else. So this is actually a big get for you guys. So we're hoping tell him to come. He can come on our show too anytime. So the open invitation's there.
Well, I'll definitely let him know. We've been working on this for a while. We brought it up to him earlier this year, and so we were fortunate to be able to get him, and it's great. I'm looking forward to having him every day after a Bears game, talking Bears, talking what went right, what went wrong, what we need to work on, and just his thoughts. The quarterbacks are usually the best analysts. I mean, look, you got Tony Romo, who's just got a huge deal. You got Troy Aikman, who just got a huge deal. Even Trent Dilfer was pretty good when he was doing it for a while. So the quarterbacks have to know everything that's going on the field. It's the most important position in all of pro sports. So to get him, I think it was a big get, and we're really, really happy for it. Really, really happy about it.
Yeah, it's interesting that Eric Kramer is going to join you guys every Monday because, like you say, he knows the position. He's played in Chicago before during the highs and the lows in the 90s, and he's still observing what's going on in today's game. And you know this as well as I do, Sean. The Chicagoans care about football, and he's going to bring in a different perspective that sometimes you don't hear on other stations, whether it's the flagship or the 4-letter network. And I think this is going to be great for us here at Sports on Chicago. He's going to give you a different angle than most people that may not watch the game closely as we do or as you do, Sean, because you've been there as a player and a coach. But when I look for analysis, tell me something that I don't know and explain it in layman's terms without insulting my intelligence, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, we want to educate people. All right, we want to understand. We want people because people haven't, don't have the experience that I do or have the experience that Eric does. I played for 30 years. I coached for 17, so that's 47 seasons of football I have under my belt. Eric's, has played football from grammar school through the NFL. So we're talking, 15, 20 years of football experience under his belt. And he's still coaching now. So, there are a lot of things that the way we look at a game, the way we see things is a little different than many people. And that's why we want to educate. Like on my show, I usually say, let's learn how to critique and not criticize. All right, let's critique their play. Let's critique their play. And it's not be he's a bum. He's this, he's that because he made a bad play. Well, guess what? We all make bad plays in sports and in life. So we don't have to beat somebody down because they made a bad play. Just say, hey, you know what? He didn't do the job this time. He messed up. He's got to do better. So, and we'll help you do that. So we can get the more intelligent fans that we have, the more people like watching us because we're educating, not just going off on the mouth and being meathead fans.
Well, yeah, and also giving people like sensible, takes and stuff. But we know, look, Eric covered football for a couple of years, did a couple of games for Fox, so he definitely brings that perspective as an accomplished player on his own right. Was ACC Offensive Player of the Year. He was also, very accomplished player for both the Bears and the Lions too. So just, this is a really big gift for you guys, and I'm excited. So I'll definitely be checking that out. What day and time we know it's going to be every Monday after every Bears game, but what time so that people will know when to tune in?
It'll be 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock every Monday. It'll be the first set. Well, we have our top of the morning from 9 to 10. But the first segment of guests will be 10 o'clock every Monday after a Bears game. We're going to have him on a Friday one time because they do play on a Thursday one day, one game this week. And then he'll be on a Wednesday one day because they play on a Monday night game. And my show's not on Tuesday, so we'll have him on Wednesday morning. But for all intents and purposes, it'll be every Monday. 10 a.m. Eric Kramer is going to be joining your boy, the Superback and the Sports Chica, breaking down Bears every week. And I cannot tell you how fired up I am to have him join the Sports Zone Chicago family.
Yeah, we're fired up for you, Sean. And this is a great game. We'll definitely be tuning in. And like Lakeena said, hopefully Eric Kramer will be joining our show at some point this year. So we're definitely looking forward to it. This is a big step for us here at Sports Zone Chicago. And we couldn't be happier for you and for ourselves.
Cool, guys. Thanks. I'll let you get out. I'll get out of your hair, and well, not you, Sid. You're like me.
The Ball Brother, the Ball Brotherhood. You guys are the Ball Brotherhood.
Hey guys, continue having a great show. I'm out. Have a great weekend.
You too. Right. Thank you.
Thanks, alrighty. Sean. All right. As the Superbat said, you can catch former Bear Eric Kramer on Sean and Maya every Monday at 10 a.m. during the football season. So, it's definitely going to bring some great analysis and stuff like that. I can't wait. I'll definitely be watching.
Yep. On the flip side of this break, we'll have Miss Kate Rooney from KRON4 out there in the Bay Area. She's going to break down the NFC West along with the 49ers and Bears contest for week 1 coming up this Sunday from the lakefront and a whole lot more. We'll get into I'm sure we'll get into some USC football with her as well and a whole lot more. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You listen to the Friday edition of Second City Sports live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. Light day around baseball today. Cleveland at Detroit. The White Sox visit Kansas City. The Cardinals are at Denver. The Astros host the Rangers. The Red Sox at home against the Orioles. The Cubs take on the Reds in the Field of Dreams game in Dyersville, Iowa. The NFL preseason kicks into high gear this week. Tonight, the Giants visit the Patriots while the Titans head to Baltimore. Tomorrow, the Falcons visit the Lions. The Browns are at Jacksonville. The Jets visit the Eagles. The Cardinals at Cincinnati. The Packers are on the road at San Francisco. On Saturday, Carolina at Washington. Kansas City at Chicago. The Bills host the Colts. The Bills, the current favorite to win the Super Bowl. The Seahawks visit the Steelers. It'll be the Dolphins at Tampa. The Texans hosting the Saints. The defending Super Bowl champion Rams battle the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. Denver at home against the Cowboys, while the Raiders host the Vikings. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
With our newest unlimited plan, everyone's welcome. Introducing Welcome Unlimited from Verizon for just $30 a line per month for 4 lines with autopay plus taxes and fees. Our best priced unlimited plan ever.
Did he say $30?
Yep, $30 a line for the whole family. The network you want, the price you love. Switch to Verizon today. Paper-free billing required. Unlimited 5G nationwide 4G LTE. In times of congestion, your data may be temporarily slower than other traffic. All smartphone lines on the account must be on Welcome Unlimited and are eligible only for select promotions. Includes domestic talk, text, and data usage only. Data roaming at 2G speeds.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. 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 Reese's.
And welcome back to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Lakeena McGee. You follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and Lakeena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. And make sure you download the Sports Zone Chicago app. And make sure you have any questions or comments for our show during our 90-minute extravaganza, especially for our next guest. You can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Another friendly reminder, Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV. Without further ado, Lakeena, let's bring on our first guest as we're getting ready to preview the 49ers and Bears from a 49ers perspective and get her thoughts on the NFC West. She comes to us from the Bay Area. You can see her on KRON News 4. She's the one and only Miss Kate Rooney. Kate, welcome to our show for today. How are you?
Hi, Sydney. Hi, Lakeena. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm doing great. It's week 1. I'm excited.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We are very excited. And you can follow Kate on Twitter at the Kate Rooney. Once again, at the Kate Rooney. That's KATE, the ROONEY. Kate, before we get to the NFC West, let's preview the 49ers and Bears for this Sunday. Of course, the 49ers they had a bad taste in their mouth from last year, losing to the Super Bowl champion Rams in the NFC title game. But this year is different. We'll get to Trey Lance in just a moment. But before the 49ers land in Chicago tomorrow, will they not have tight end George Kittle? I know he didn't practice the other day. What's the latest status on him?
Yeah, well, that's a really great question. And I think probably the main thing now that people are looking at ahead of this game, we're going to find out today, most likely. Kyle Shanahan's set to talk. The 49ers are going to practice today. If George Kittle doesn't practice again today, I think that's a really bad sign. I think it's highly unlikely we'll see him on Sunday. If he does practice today, then that suggests that it'll probably be a game time decision. So we're kind of waiting with bated breath. We got about 2 hours before 49ers practice starts today. So then we'll have more information on George Kittle. He gets banged up. He does. But the way he plays kind of makes it worth it because he plays so hard. But it's just frustrating to not be able to have him out there for 17 games a season for 49ers fans because they know what he can contribute.
Now, Kate, let's talk about I don't want to say it's the elephant in the room, but it is, being talked about all over the NFL. And that is the Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. Garoppolo takes a pay cut, stays with the 49ers. It's Trey Lance's team. We think it's kind of like an insurance sort of thing. But what did you think about that move? Were you surprised that Jimmy G decided to stay? And what about the season? Could we see him maybe perhaps this Sunday?
I was absolutely stunned. I definitely expected the 49ers to end up having to release him, even though they'd said all along they didn't want to do that. But I really thought that that's what was going to happen. You certainly can't keep $24.2 million on your payroll if you don't think he's going to play. It's a really smart business decision. You've got a backup quarterback now, probably the best backup in the league, definitely worthy of being a starter on another team. It just didn't work out that way because of his shoulder surgery. And even though there might be some awkwardness between Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo in that quarterback room, they say there isn't. Could be a little bit of an awkward situation, but you've still got a really great situation when it comes to, like you said, Lakeena, an insurance policy. If Trey Lance has a couple bad games, then the rumor mill is going to start spinning. Is Lance going to get benched, and are they going to put Jimmy in? I think they're really hoping they don't have to do that. I think they do have some confidence in Trey Lance, and they're hoping that he'll be able to get out there, play a full 17 games if he doesn't get hurt, and maybe they can just put Jimmy in the event that he does get hurt. But their hope is that they don't have to use him too much.
You're listening to the Friday edition of Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago. We're live and in living color. Sid and Lakeena here with you. We're talking to Miss Kate Rooney from KRON4 out there in the Bay Area, previewing 49ers and Bears. Now, Kate, another player on the 49ers that was going through contract issues. He actually got some fresh cash, as the kids would say, was a wide receiver, Deebo Samuel. Of course, he put out a trade request. It was denied. Of course, he got the new deal out of it. What do you expect out of Mr. Samuel in year number 3 in the 49ers uniform?
Man, Deebo got paid, and it's well-deserved because there is no one like him in the NFL. And I think he's going to have another great season. He's only going to get better. He's only going to hone his craft more. He's so young. This is only his 4th year in the NFL now. And he's just got that do-it-all mentality. There was a lot of talk about whether he actually didn't want to be in on so many run plays, and that's why he requested a trade from the 49ers. We'll probably never know how much truth there is to that. I think the simple fact of the matter is he is going to end up doing whatever Kyle Shanahan thinks is necessary for him to help this team. The great thing about this receivers room now, with Brandon Ayuk coming on a little bit, with the addition of rookie Danny Gray, who looked really, really strong in practice, is that if you put double coverage on Deebo, like a lot of teams are going to do this season, then you're going to have to contend with one of those other two guys. And again, Deebo could also carry the rock, right? So he's going to continue to give teams fits. They're going to try to game plan for him a little bit better than they did last season because now they've seen the different ways they can use him. But it's always a surprise with Deebo, right? So that's what's so beneficial about having him on your team is that you never know which way he's going to line up or what play he's going to be capable of making.
Now, what about the defense, Kate? You got, of course, Nick Bosa. We all know what he can do once he's, when he's healthy. Fred Warner. You got, Charvarius Ward. They actually were one of the top defenses last year. The Niners were. So, what can they do to prove even more?
Yeah, well, I do think their defense is actually greatly improved from last year when they were a championship level defense. And you mentioned Charvarius Ward. I think that's a big part of the reason why the 49ers really struggled in the secondary last season with injuries, particularly at the cornerback position. And D'Amico Ryans was able to just come up with enough schemes to make it work, partly because he's a brilliant defensive mind, partly because Fred Warner can just play a cover 3 like nobody else in the business. The way he's all over the field like that, he really doesn't allow for that, third receiver that they'll bring in sometimes to make any plays. He's just a machine. So I think they'll continue to play a lot of cover 3, but now they've also got the ability to play a little more man coverage than they did last year if Charvarius Ward stays healthy. Not only do they have him, Emmanuel Mosley's healthy right now, but they've hoping that Jason Verrett can be healthy again this season. And they have a really promising rookie in Samuel Womack. They took him in the 5th round. He really came on strong during the preseason, had a great preseason. So they've got more depth at that position than they've had in the last couple of years. If you can have 2 great seasons like they did without a strong secondary, without secondary depth, when you have that, like I think they do this year, it's going to make a big difference. I think Charvarius Ward is probably one of the most underrated signings of the offseason.
Let's go back to the offense and focusing on the running backs, Elijah Mitchell and Jeff Wilson. I really like Elijah Mitchell this year, Katie. Of course, I know this is personal to me, but he's on my fantasy team this year. Talking about Elijah Mitchell, but with that being said, will he get the bulk of the carries, or will it be a 2-back system between him and Wilson?
Yeah, I like Elijah Mitchell too. I've got some roots in Louisiana, and he's a Louisiana guy, and he's just a really nice guy. So I'm definitely always rooting for him. I think in Kyle Shanahan's system, it's always going to be a 2-back system. Elijah Mitchell had, I think it was 800 or 900 yards last year. And I think he's going to have more. He's said that is one of his personal goals. So he will be the number 1 back. That being said, I think you'll see them mostly split carries between him and Jeff Wilson. It'll be the biggest load for Jeff Wilson in the past because a lot of times he's come in as like a short yardage back or a 3rd down back. He's never put up, like a 500, 600, 7-yard season with the 49ers. So I think they'll use him a lot more than they have been in the past. Jeff Wilson's great. I really like the way he runs. He also gets hurt. They kind of all do in Kyle Shanahan's system. Like we talked about with Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. They're just bruisers. They're bowling balls. So it's hard to stay healthy, but between those two, and then they've got a couple other young guys like Jordan Mason, who they like, who had a really good camp. So I think you'll see some of those guys in this offseason too. But yeah, expect a lot of carries from both Elijah Mitchell and Jeff Wilson Jr. And they've both proven that they can do it when they're called on.
Probably the most, besides Samuel is, Kyle Juszczyk. He's another guy that's kind of been used a lot. Are we going to see him a little bit more in like the tight end, spot since, it was like Kittle's not going to be able to play? Are they going to kind of like use different combinations like they've been doing?
I think they'll continue to use different combinations. They do have a pretty deep tight end room. They've got Ross Dwelly. They re-signed Tyler Croft on the practice squad. So they've got they're carrying 4 tight ends right now. So the great thing about Kyle Juszczyk is he is one of those guys who, like you said, can carry the ball, can come in and block, can function kind of as a tight end. And I think we'll continue to see him in all those different types of combinations. I mean, he's the only fullback in the league who made that. First of all, he's one of only a handful of fullbacks in the league, right? That's a position that has just gone out of fashion, but he's also the only one who made that NFL top 100 list. So he's a jack of all trades, and that's why they love him so much and value him. And he's absolutely one of the superstars on this team. I think we'll just continue to see more of that this season.
You're listening to the Friday edition of Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We're live and live in color. Sid Lakeena here with you. We're hanging out with Kate Rooney from KRON News 4 out in the Bay Area previewing 49ers and Bears. Kate, I wanted to ask you about former Bear Robbie Gould. Of course, I think he still has a home here in Chicago during the offseason. It was a small chance that the Bears could have brought him back. Of course, the Bears chose not to. But what is your experience covering Mr. Gould as he's turned out to be one of the best accurate kickers in NFL history?
Yeah, I think Robbie's family actually does still live in Chicago. I think his wife and kids are out there most of the year. You guys would probably know that better than I would, but he definitely, I know, still feels a really strong connection to Chicago. He is a joy to cover. First of all, it's nice to be able to not have to worry about having a kicker and write about that and talk about that throughout the week. He's totally someone you can rely on, and that's fantastic. But second of all, he's just a really easygoing person. He's always been kind to the media. He even one year got us pizza at the end of the season and wrote a handwritten note saying, "Thank you so much for your coverage this year." Not that many players do that. He's in fact the only one who's ever done that in my experience. So just the gold standard to make a play on his name. He's a gem. And I know Chicago, thinks really highly of him to this day, and 49er fans do as well.
Well, another guy I'm sure that's very popular in that 49ers locker room is, Trent Williams, the veteran left tackle. He got a nice, little bump in salary. How much of a bigger factor is he going to be to keep, Trey Lance upright, especially since it's pretty much his team now?
That is a great point. It is crucial. And he is, one of the best players in the NFL, not just at the left tackle position, but in general. Ask any player and they'll tell you that. But it's especially important this year because last year they had a Pro Bowl center, Alex Mack. He's now retired. So now they don't really know what's going on at center. It's probably going to be Jake Brendel. He's a 6-year vet, but he's not a star. Daniel Brunskill's also taken a lot of reps at center. He's kind of a utility guy who's played all over the line in the last few years, but he's also banged up. Mike McGlinchey is banged up, and he is coming off a not so great season even the year before last year when he got injured. So Mike McGlinchey is kind of a question mark too, even though he had a great rookie and a decent sophomore campaign. And then they've got a rookie at right guard and a second-year player who didn't take that many snaps last year at left guard. So I think there are a lot of questions on the offensive line. The young guys cannot find a better mentor in the world than Trent Williams. I know he's doing everything he can. We've asked him about it a ton. He said he feels very confident in these young guys, that it's their moment to step up and do their job, and he believes that they're going to. But if I had to pick one area that causes the most concern for me about the 49ers this season, it's probably that offensive line, just because it's so untested and so banged up.
Shout out to our guy, Barlissimo. He says he's most concerned about Eric Armstead on the defensive line, which brings up my next question, Kate. Let's get into the game plan for Sunday. We all know what happened in last year's game on Halloween weekend in Chicago. Justin Fields went off, almost pulled out a miracle for the Bears. What's the game plan for trying to stop him this go around?
Stick to that elite pass rush that they've got. Eric Armstead, is a guy who, I'll be honest, I have some concerns about him as well, because even though I really enjoy covering him, great guy, he played his best football in a contract year. To me, that's always a little bit suspect. Since then, before then and since, he has never had as good of a season. There are certainly other guys on that defensive line this year who are going to be called on a lot more. Nick Bosa is a freak of nature. We barely even need to talk about him. So is Javon Kinlaw. Hopefully he'll stay healthy this year. And they do have a lot more depth on that defensive line. That's what they're going to stick to. They are going to rush the heck out of Justin Fields. And that's their formula for every team. Will it work? Fields obviously has a lot of talent. From what I know about the Bears, it seems like he's got a couple of great targets. And is it Mooney and Cole Kmet? So those guys, can certainly make some plays when they're called upon. But I think it's going to be a very tough test for them against the 49ers defensive line because they're hungry, they're ready to play, and they're ready to hit some people.
Yeah, and rain could be a factor too. They got new sod over at Soldier Field. Oh dear, which could,
watch out for those slick spots.
Yeah, I said there's gonna be a lot of slick spots there, Kate. So we'll let you guys know right now.
Thanks for the warning.
Yeah, could we be seeing a lot of running the ball? Could we see Samuel and Mitchell, and are they going to be doing the ground a little bit more because of the weather?
They've played in a couple mud bowls over the last few years, and the good thing for them is they're a run-first team anyway, so if they just stick to that, it'll be good for them. We have not had much rain in California. We are in the midst of a deep drought, so a lot of these players, especially the rookies, have probably never played in a rainy game, and that's what you got to do. You got to stick to it. Elijah Mitchell said that they have certain gloves that they're going to bring out that give them a little bit better grip on the ball if needed, and I think they're going to stick to the ground game a lot.
We're halfway home with Kate Rooney from KRON4 in the Bay Area right here on the Friday edition of Second City Sports. We're live and in living color on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid and Lakeena here with you. Kate, now let's get into the rest of the division in the NFC West. Despite what happened last night on ring night, do you still believe that the Rams are the class of the NFC West? If not, who could be that surprise team?
I think the 49ers are right up there with the Rams. Was last night representative of what the Rams were capable of? Definitely not. The Bills might be just that good. They really are. But it also wasn't, the best output for the Rams. The 49ers, however, have shown that they can beat the Rams pretty much anytime they want to. In fact, they were just a dropped interception away from beating them in the NFC Championship game this year and advancing to the Super Bowl again. So I don't think the 49ers are too worried about having to play the Rams twice this season. I'm going to put the 49ers right up there with any team in not just the NFC West, but in the NFC. I think that they're one of the teams to contend with for sure.
What about Arizona? Do you think? I know, DeAndre Hopkins is going to be, gone for 6 weeks, through the suspension. Looks like Rondale Moore may miss their game against the Chiefs. Where do you see the Cardinals? Are they kind of up there with the 49ers and the Rams, or are they kind of like in that second tier?
Yeah, to me, they're in that second tier. The Cardinals are the number 3 team. They've still got a lot to prove. I know they came out to a really hot start last year. Like you said, they're not great to not be able to have DeAndre Hopkins to start the season. They've had some personnel changes. They don't have Chandler Jones anymore. He's in Oakland now. So, I am not confident that Cliff Kingsbury is the coach that he was hired to be. I'm not confident that Kyler Murray is the quarterback that he just signed this big extension for. I like the way he plays, but they just haven't been able to show that they can close out a season. So until they do, they're in that number 3 spot for me. And I think it's going to be a really tough year for the Seahawks. As the saying goes, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have 1 quarterback. And I think that's really the situation that they're stuck in. It is definitely a rebuild year in Seattle. They've been able to overachieve the last 2 seasons, in my opinion, because of having Russell Wilson. And this year, they don't have Russell Wilson. So I'm not really expecting much out of them. I actually think for the 49ers, the tougher situation is having to play the AFC West this year on their schedule rather than, going up against the Raiders, Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs is going to be a little bit harder than actually their own divisional opponents.
You just mentioned, Kate, that you think that San Francisco is right there in the NFC. I know people are counting out the Rams because it's hard to repeat as champions in the NFL. Of course, you still have Green Bay, and some people still believe you have Dallas. Me personally, I'm not sure, especially the way you guys, your team guys ended their season last year. But we usually have 2 or 3 surprise teams in the NFL each year. Do you have 1 or 2 that we should be looking out for? Or in the NFC and or in the AFC?
Ooh, surprise teams. I like that question. I don't know if I've thought about it too much. Let's see. maybe someone who didn't make the playoffs last year that could be poised to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Maybe the Vikings will overachieve a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen there, but they brought in their new coach, and they could be a team that will contend in the NFC North. You guys probably know a little bit more about that than I do. Other than that, I think we're going to see, kind of a resurgence of the top teams in the NFC. Tom Brady still does magical things year after year, and Tampa is probably going to be a team that people are going to have to deal with a lot. So those are probably my picks for the rest of the NFC.
All right, let's talk a little bit of college football for a second. Kate, I know you're a USC, you're a Trojan. So, of course, Lincoln Riley's taking over as head coach of the football team. Caleb Williams. I know it's Rice, but they looked really good against Rice last week. They got a tough one, at Stanford in Palo Alto. That's going to be the primetime game on ABC tomorrow night. So, what do you think? I know some people are actually say they could be a sleeper team to get into the playoff. What do you think?
I'm trying to hedge my expectations. I think maybe it's going to be a 9-win season for them, which probably isn't enough to get into the college football playoff until it expands to 12 teams, which is happening soon, and that's exciting. I'm a big advocate of that. This game against Stanford, like you said, I think will be a test, because obviously they should have beaten Rice. They maybe should have even beaten them a little more handily than they did. Let them stick around a little bit in that first half. But I think that this team is headed in the right direction. I really believe in what Lincoln Riley has out there. I believe that he's got the talent. They already put up some better numbers in that game, the first game with Lincoln Riley, than they ever did with Clay Helton as their head coach. So this is a team that, to me, needs another year to gel, another year to get to learn that system, develop some of these younger players, particularly on the defensive side. And we'll probably see them as true contenders for the college football playoff next season.
Last question from me, Kate. And speaking of USC, of course, them and UCLA will be moving over to the Big Ten in a couple of years. What do you think about this move? Because with these big conferences now expanding, of course, you just talked about the expansion of the college football playoff. Of course, the Big Ten is getting that big check for to air their games. It looks like the SEC is going to do the same thing. That's why ESPN is jumping on that boat over there. What do you think about those two West Coast teams now joining the Big Ten? You could have some early 9 a.m. local time kickoff games.
Yeah, a lot of early times, and that's one thing that they've been kind of clamoring for over the last several seasons. There's that whole slogan, Pac-12 after dark, which, may excite some Pac-12 fans. But the problem with that is when you have a 7 p.m. Pacific kickoff time, nobody in Central Time or Eastern Time is seeing you play. So
except for Lakeena.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she's a college football queen.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a college football queen, and she's a West Coast college football girl. So she's on one of the few people on the East Coast that can watch those late night games.
We need more people like you to give the respect that it deserves to that conference.
Big Pac-12 fan for growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Pac-12 too. Obviously, having gone to USC, and I worked at Pac-12 Network for several years, and it's the death knell of the Pac-12, in my opinion. I don't see how the conference can survive without USC in particular, but also UCLA. There's been a lot of rumors about Oregon and Stanford having conversations with the Big 12 and the Big 10. So we have to see where that goes. But we're definitely in the era of the super conference. Is it a good thing? I guess it's a good thing in terms of, like we just said, the East Coast being able to see more of those West Coast teams, but it's all about money. I'm not convinced it's great for the game. I think it's going to really eliminate a lot of the kind of Cinderella stories that are part of what make college football so great. Like in a super conference system, when is, just for example, a UCF ever going to be able to have the opportunity to contend for a national title? And that makes me sad. I hope that's not what happens. I hope that they're able to figure out a way so that some of these kind of mid-major type teams can still compete. But I think it was a smart move from the business perspective for USC and UCLA, because the Pac-12 has clearly not been getting it done for them over the last 10 years or so.
Okay, last question from me, and we'll let you out here with this, Kate. Final win total for the 49ers. I think the over-under is about 10 or 11. So where do you think? And will they win the NFC West?
I've thought about this. I'm going over. I think they're going to be 12-5. They were 10-7 last year. No reason that they shouldn't be better than that this season because their already excellent defense has improved. If Trey Lance lives up to expectations, or even if he doesn't and Jimmy G has to slide in there at some point, he's shown he can take the team all the way. So I'm going to put them at 12-5. I think they've got a very favorable schedule in lots of ways, aside from playing the AFC East, like I mentioned. So that's my official prediction. Will they win the NFC West? I think they easily could, but you never know what's going to happen with those Rams. They've got a way of hanging in there and figuring things out too. So I think it's going to be a very tight race in the NFC West at the end of the season.
And your prediction on Sunday's game?
You may never invite me back on this show again, and I'm sure your listeners aren't going to like this answer, but I think that the 49ers are going to be able to handle the Bears well. Let's go with we'll say 27-7.
Yeah, we love you, Kate. So you coming back on this show
like
no matter what happens. So
yeah, I'll say it's fine. We still love you.
Thanks,
we still like
yeah.
you.
All right. That's been Kate Rooney of KRON4. For those of you outside the Bay Area like us here in Chicago, you can watch her along with Jason Dumas and our homegirl Kylan Mills at KRON4.com. You can watch their broadcast live on the internet. This has been Kate Rooney from KRON4. You can follow her on Twitter at the Kate Rooney. Once again, at the Kate Rooney, KATEROONEY. Kate, thank you so much for joining us, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And you tell Miss Kylan Mills, our homegirl, we said hello, and she owes us an appearance back on this program. So.
Yeah, she does. I know she's busy, but yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She needs to be able to make time for you guys. I'll have a word with her. It was really fun talking to you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Kate.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All right.
Stay safe.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Thank you.
All right, that was Kate Rooney from KRN4 News. Now, Sid, we got a couple more minutes before we go to break. Now, let's talk a little bit about the NFC West. Now, for me, I think the West, look, that game against, we'll talk more about that later on with our girl, KXRB's Christine Manika. But for me, I think that game was kind of like sort of like a synopsis, not really kind of like an anomaly because, look, we've seen this happen. You know, we saw this with Tampa Bay a couple of years ago. We've seen it with other teams who, fresh off winning the Super Bowl, you get the ring ceremony and all the glitz and, the pomp and circumstance and, the colors. They played Nipsey Hussle on the back as they, as the Rams were coming onto the field. So yeah, I would like the emotion. I mean, look, Josh Allen played like a madman, like a guy possessed. So, but like I said, I think I see a couple of folks say that they can work on their O-line play. I think that probably needs to be improved. Yeah. And I know Von Miller had a couple of sacks against. We'll talk, like I said, we'll talk more about the game recap last night's game in a little bit, but. I feel like the Rams and the 49ers, could the Cardinals sneak in there? Maybe. Like I said, I mean, we'll see how they do once, Deshaun Hopkins, with him, when he comes back in about 6 weeks. So what do you think? I mean, Seattle, we won't talk about that.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll make our official predictions next hour, but I think the Rams are a class of that division. But like you said, we said during the interview, it's hard to repeat as champions in the Super Bowl. There is a Super Bowl hangover that is a fact. We'll see how the Rams handle that. But the 49ers, I believe the first 6 games of the year is key, because if Trey Lance struggles or heaven forbid they have injuries, especially to their quarterback, this may be the end of Kyle Shanahan as head coach. We don't know, but the season could swing on how they perform in his first 6 games. So if they don't go at least 4-2 in the first 6 games, they could be in trouble. But the 49ers are a potential wildcard team. Like I said, we'll get into our predictions next hour.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to have WG and Jarrett Payton join us to talk about Bears and 49ers and what his predictions are for the Bears. And also we may even talk a little bit about Miami, a little about the U. So whole lot more coming up. Also, we're going to have our girl Christine Manika join us at the bottom of the hour as well. So lots to do still. Lakeena McGee, Sydney Brown, Second City Sports on Chicago. Hour number 2 coming up right after this.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. Light day around baseball today. Cleveland at Detroit. The White Sox visit Kansas City. The Cardinals are at Denver. The Astros host the Rangers. The Red Sox at home against the Orioles. The Cubs take on the Reds in the Field of Dreams game in Dyersville, Iowa. The NFL preseason kicks into high gear this week. Tonight, the Giants visit the Patriots while the Titans head to Baltimore. Tomorrow, the Falcons visit the Lions, the Browns are at Jacksonville, the Jets visit the Eagles, the Cardinals at Cincinnati, the Packers are on the road at San Francisco. On Saturday, Carolina at Washington, Kansas City at Chicago, the Bills host the Colts, the Bills the current favorite to win the Super Bowl, the Seahawks visit the Steelers, it'll be the Dolphins at Tampa, the Texans hosting the Saints, the defending Super Bowl champion Rams battle the Chargers at SoFi Stadium, Denver at home against the Cowboys, while the Raiders host the Vikings. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
With our newest unlimited plan, everyone's welcome. Introducing Welcome Unlimited from Verizon for just $30 a line per month for 4 lines with autopay plus taxes and fees. Our best priced unlimited plan ever.
Did he say $30?
Yep, $30 a line for the whole family. The network you want, the price you love. Switch to Verizon today. Paper-free billing required. Unlimited 5G nationwide 4G LTE. In times of congestion, your data may be temporarily slower than other traffic. All smartphone lines on the account must be on Welcome Unlimited and are eligible only for select promotions. Includes domestic talk, text, and data usage only. Data roaming at 2G speeds.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. 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 Reese's.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
We have less than 60 minutes of this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. You have any questions or comments for us, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. And a friendly reminder, Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. Lakeena, let's not waste any time. We continue our football coverage as we kick off hour number 2 of this program. Just a quick synopsis here. I'm working with the Dean Davis Show. You know this as well, Lakeena. This man got his start during his early days at ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. He also did some Bears post-game shows on the radio with Jay Hood back in the day. Now he's the man over at WGN TV. He's a sports anchor and host. And he's doing a great job over there, the world's greatest newspaper. And he is the son of the legendary, the late, great Walter Payton. Let's please welcome to our show to continue our Bears coverage. Here's Mr. Jarrett Payton.
Yay.
Jarrett, welcome to the show. How are you, my man?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Doing great.
This is kind of an interesting reunion too, because one of the first shows I interned for was when he was at CSR years ago with our buddy Sean M. Davis. So this is kind of like a reunion, a CSR reunion here going on.
Well, thank you guys, man. I appreciate you guys for having me. It's a big week, man. It's one of those weeks I think that Chicago Bears fans have been waiting for a long time, ever since last year ended, and now we're about to embark on this new season and a new era of Bears football.
Yeah, and speaking of the Bears, Jerry, of course they went 3-0 in the preseason. I know you're not supposed to not to get too high or not to get too low either, but what can the Bears take from what they did in the preseason and carry on to what their preparation is going to be for the 49ers this Sunday?
No, really, I think it has to do with just being a disciplined football team. I think that's what we saw a little bit more of from this regime with Matt Eberflus, from the last regime with with Matt Nagy, and just watching this team and the attention to detail that Eberflus is putting in, and especially his staff as well, when they come to teaching the fundamentals of the game and how they are going about their business with how they're doing it on offense and defense. On the defensive side, though, the one thing that was very, very evident was the way that this team runs to the football, the way that they get after it, where that they hustle, and that whole hits philosophy that Matt Eberflus brought with him from Indy here to Chicago, I think it really just kind of stood out. And I know a lot of people don't want to take anything from those 3 games, but for me, I know they're preseason games, but it's something to me that you can build on. And it's not just for this season. Like, I want Bears fans to understand that, like, yes, this could be a rough season. Could the Bears surprise a lot of people? Yes, I think they could. They can surprise some teams. But to me, it's all about building the foundation for the future. And that's with a lot of these young guys, seeing what you have in the draft picks that you just selected. And then also trying to look for the future and seeing, is Justin Fields going to be that guy that can, lead this organization? To me, yes, I know he can without a doubt. It's just about putting more pieces around him for him to be successful.
What are your expectations for Justin Fields? New offensive coordinator, learning a whole new scheme. What are your realistic expectations for him?
Well, it's funny that you asked that, because that's the question that I've been posing to every single expert person that played the game, just trying to figure out, because when it comes down to it, it's normally you judge quarterbacks by wins and championships. That's what it's always been about, right? And passing for over 4,000 yards. To step back and gather some of the information that I got from guys even yesterday, talked to Brian Urlacher and guys who else? I'm trying to think of other names of people that I've had conversations with from the NFL. But why am I forgetting his name right now? From ESPN. From ESPN. Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky. All right. All these guys are talking about really just seeing the little stuff that he does right. So it's his fundamentals, the way that he's looking at his reads and progressing through his reads, his footwork, watching his arm slot, the way that he throws the ball. He's changed that a little bit, not as much of a windy, but gets back a little bit faster and snaps those hips, and making the right decision with the football. I think it's those little things that we look at as quarterbacks to do, the great quarterbacks that they do so often, that we're always looking for the younger quarterbacks. That's what I'm going to be watching. But it comes down to him being able to do those things by looking at the Bears and their offensive line and figuring out, can they protect him, give him that protection to be able to create a little bit? Or does Luke Getsy kind of bring this offense, which I think totally suits what Justin's all about, letting him get to the outside, making a throw, or also run, using his athletic ability early on in his career, because we know, as most people watched the game last night, a kickoff to the NFL, Josh Allen is unbelievable. But I don't care how big and strong you are, over time, the pounding that you take as a running quarterback, it takes a toll. Because I stood next to Cam Newton a couple Super Bowl in Miami and got a chance to hang out with him. And that dude is huge. I'm talking about big muscles.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, he said the same thing. He said, over time, man, it just wears on you. It wears on you by taking those hits. So being able to do it, and I know this is going to sound funny, but I need Justin this season to take care of himself too, as well. Yeah. When he goes to slide, little things that we've seen in the last year where he slides awkwardly and then this and that. I just need him to take care of himself, because this whole entire thing right now is centered around his progression as a quarterback, but also his health. And so I want to see him have a successful season, but I'm going to be looking at the little things with Justin to be able to gauge if it was a successful year too for Justin Fields.
Jarrett Payton from WGN TV Sports is joining us here on Second City Sports, the Friday edition. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid and Lakeena here with you, talking Bears football. Jarrett, speaking of Justin Fields needing to take care of himself, I agree with you, but we all know that for a quarterback to be successful, they need to have an offensive line. The offensive line for the Bears wasn't as great last year, but I didn't think it was as bad as people made it out to be, because they did have a good stretch of with a run block in David Montgomery, even though he was out for half the year. Khalil Herbert ran the ball very well behind a decent offensive line. How much are you worried about the offensive line this year?
I'm a little worried, just because I feel like as a unit, you haven't seen they've been trying to mix and match this whole thing as preseason has gone on due to injuries. And they got to find a balance there. And I'm a little worried, not by just looking at personnel. I'm more worried that these guys have not played together as a cohesive unit throughout the preseason as well. So there's been some mixing and matching there. So I just want to see how they come out. And, guys like Tevin Jenkins, does he have an opportunity to really show people what kind of guy he actually is, what kind of player he truly is? Larry Borum as well. Like, can he be a guy that's being a fixture here? Because then you look at Braxton Jones as well on the other side, on the left side at the tackle position, man. And we all kind of know what Cody Whitehair is all about, right? It's Luke Patrick is that center. Can he snap? Can he not snap? Is it Sam Mustipher that's going to have to take over those responsibilities? I just want to see that those three young guys, can they be like pillars for this Bears offensive line for the future and start to build on that position? Because the one thing that I've always said, I don't care how good your quarterback is, all that stuff. I mean, championships are won in the trenches. It's on the offensive line and defensive line. If you don't have that, I don't care what. I want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear about Super Bowl. I don't want to hear about long time, like a long playoff run. If you don't have it, then you're not in that conversation. And the Bears got to find a way. And the one thing that I do have a lot of, I see a lot of promise in is that, man, Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham are both former offense. Like, they understand what offensive line is all about, man. And for Poles, man, he gets it too. And I think that over time, if God willing, they have time to build this roster the way that they want it to, I believe that they're going to find a way to get the offensive line right. And to me, the confidence is there. But as right now, I'm worried because I just haven't seen enough of them as a unit in real live game action. And I think that's what's going to be coming on Sunday. So we'll get a chance to get our first preview of how this offensive line is stacking up.
What about the defense? Because, of course, you've got Robert Quinn. We'll see how long he's still going to be here by the end of the season. Roquan Smith, he's been on himself. Of course, Kyler Gordon, their top draft pick. Where do you see the defense? Can they be kind of like in that mid-tier?
I mean, that it's all about that front seven. I mean, they got to figure out, can they get after the quarterback? I mean, Robert Quinn, everybody is asking just, what made him so successful last year? Because you would have thought, right, that Khalil Mack would have been healthy if he was healthy the whole season, that he would be taking up a bunch of double teams and that would leave, Robert Quinn on the other side to go and get sacks, or his team was just blitzing super heavy. That was the reason why he was getting off. I was going back and looking at the highlights of all of his sacks. There wasn't a lot of blitzing going on. Like, Robert Quinn was just he was in a zone, man. He was feeling himself. He was in a zone. He was getting after it. Now, 18.5 is a lot. If he can have double digits again this year, to me, that's a plus. I don't know. It all depends. Could they be mid-tier? Yeah, I think they could if everything's clicking the right way. If a guy like if Roquan can get to figure out his kind of what do you say, like just his role in this defense, playing the will and like what that kind of brings to the table for him. Can he, force some more fumbles? Can he find a way to be good in coverage as well? Because he's super, super athletic. And to me, the best player on this Bears roster, when you look at it, when you look at accomplishments and what he's done, dude's been a baller his whole entire career since he's put on a Bears uniform. Does he deserve to get paid? Heck yeah, he deserves to get paid. But do I understand the reason why he's not getting paid? Yes, I understand that too. It's a new regime. Things are changing. So he's betting on himself. My thing is, if he's going to bet on himself, then I feel like this could be, if he stays healthy, he has the opportunity to be the best version of Roquan Smith that we've ever seen so far if he stays healthy and he buys in to what they're doing on defense. Kyler Gordon, you got a rookie starting. Yo, who knows? It's hard for me, and I do this all the time because I'm in your guys' position most of the time. I'm asking the questions. So I ask these questions, and I'm just like in my head going, dang, but they ain't even played a game yet. Like, I always have to wait till like 4 or 5 games into a season to kind of figure out what a team is truly going to be about. And so, like, I want to see what Gordon does. I'm super high on Jaquan Brisker, man.
Yeah.
Fully healthy, man. You talk about a dude that can play in the box and come up and stop the run, and then also super physical when it comes to just being in that run game. Yo, I love what he's about. I love what Kyler Gordon's about. So, but it's a guy like Eddie Jackson. What kind of year is Eddie Jackson gonna have? Is he buying into this system and understanding, like, yo, the money's in the bank, but now it's time to show him even more that, like, I'm even better than that? Because the dude has all the skills that you want. He was playing out of place over the last couple of years of bringing him down in the box. That's not what Eddie does. Eddie's got to roam and go and get interceptions. That's when the juices start flowing for him, like you saw in 18. So if they can find a way to get back to that, it's that front seven that has to be dominant if they're going to be in that mid-tier of the NFL teams. Like, and I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Is the potential there? It could be. I think it's the potential is there because of Matt Eberflus and installing that hits philosophy, man, and what that all these guys have bought into it. To me, that says something, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
We're down the home stretch with Jarrett Payton from WGN TV Sports, hanging out with us right here on the Friday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in 11 color on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena here with you. Jarrett, many people expect the Bears to pick up the last place baton in the NFC North. I know people expect the Vikings to be the surprise team. You still have the Packers. Even some people think that the Lions will improve. I know they were featured on HBO's Hard Knocks this year, but that doesn't do it for me. Where do you see the NFC North? Is it the Packers division to win again, or do you see a team like Minnesota winning it?
I mean, I think we'll see that first matchup between Minnesota and Green Bay. I think we'll have a better understanding just a little bit. There's just a lot of question marks. I'm going to ask you a question first. Yes, I think it still runs, the division runs through Green Bay. I mean, the reigning 2-time MVP is there. And yeah, he might not have Devontae Adams and a bunch of young receivers that he's going to try to have to figure out. But listen, I've been in locker rooms with good quarterbacks before. Steve McNair, Kenny Dorsey when I was in the University of Miami, who's now calling plays for the Bills. Like, yo, if you are going to play at the highest level, big-time football, like, you're going to do whatever it takes, especially with one of those type of quarterbacks. You're going to do whatever it takes to be able to know your assignments or get your game right. Because if you don't, you won't be on the field or you won't get a pass thrown to you. And I think what Aaron has and the respect that he has from everybody around the league, and if you just go back the last 2 seasons, I think they're going to figure it out. I think great quarterbacks, they always figure it out. Same way that I feel like Patrick Mahomes is going to figure out with the Chiefs. Like, I know Hill's gone. Kelsey's still there. They're going to figure it out. I think Aaron figures it out. I don't know how long that takes, but I still think that the division runs through Green Bay. Where do the Bears sit? I don't know. I mean, to me, they're going to be fighting for 3rd or 4th. I mean, they're going to be fighting. And to me, it's going to end up being with the Lions. But I think the Lions are going to be a lot better as well. Only 3 wins last year, but still, you can tell the difference in how they're playing as an organization and how they come out and the grind. I feel like the Bears are going to be fighting here, but that's what you want. Like, you want a team to have their back up against the wall. This is the year to do it. They're coming in, not a lot of expectations. Like, go figure it out. Like, how are you going to grind this thing out? And how do you grind it out? And with these young guys to build this foundation for the future, the greatest teams that I was on had players from my first 2 years, the guys that came in with me at Miami in 99. Like, we lost 3 games the first year, and then my next year we lost 1. But through those losses, a lot of those guys like Sean Taylor and like guys that were beasts, Philip Buchanan, like all these guys learned they didn't want to feel that way anymore. So then in the summers, we were putting in that work so it never happened again. So we weren't in that situation again. And so that's what I'm hoping for, is that, you know, tough times don't last, tough people do, right? And so if this team can build and grow and have some ups and downs, have some successes, but also have some failures, that they can build on this for the future. The one thing that I'm most excited about, and it keeps popping into my head, is Ryan Poles getting an opportunity to get a couple of drafts underneath his belt and have a couple of first-round picks. Like, seriously, like, that's what I'm excited for. And this year, to me, I'm excited because it's football season. I'm always excited when the Bears are on the football field, but I'm also just excited for the development to hopefully watch from Justin Fields to some of these other young players that are on this roster.
Now, you know, staying with that Miami theme here, Jarrett, real quick. I know they beat Bethune-Cookman. I know it's Bethune-Cookman. They scored a semi spot on them. They got a tough one against Texas A&M in a couple next Saturday. Where do you see can Mario Cristobal kind of restore the U? I guess we say that they've seen that, like they say this like the last 10 or 15 years, but can he restore like the U and what it stands for and all that?
Yeah, I think so. I love Mario, man. He gets it. You know, it's hard because, you know, that job is so difficult. You know, ever since Butch Davis left and then Larry Coker kind of took over those national championships, the one that we won in the appearance that we had in 2002, it's always been tough. But when you have a guy that actually has played there and coached there before, that understands what Miami's all about and South Florida's all about, yeah, because he has the connections. And I think his time, with Mario's time with Alabama and understanding how to recruit, I think is really going to pay off in South Florida. And people keep asking all the time, like, how does the U get back to the U? Well, the U gets back to the U by keeping some of the best talent in South Florida, not letting them leave, right? You know, guys over time, if you look through the last 10, 15 years of guys, Teddy Bridgewater, South Florida dude, Amari Cooper, South Florida dude, Dalvin Cook, South Florida dude. We weren't keeping those guys in South Florida. They were going to Bama. They were going to Florida State. Now I think with Mario, that we get that opportunity. And I'll be honest with you, because I love that I get a chance to say this now. Dude, NIL money is flowing in South Florida. Like, I'm just saying, like, I get it. You could be at all these other places, but dude, it's not South Beach. It's not South Florida. Like, South Beach, when you get down there, if you've ever been there on a trip to hang out, as soon as you get down, you feel like you're in another world. Giving these guys an opportunity to have the bright lights, the sand, the beaches, that vibe again, where, you know, some of the stuff that was going on, that's been going on in college football for years, of paying players and all this other stuff, now that it's out there in the open. I mean, they were trying to give us the death penalty for that back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, now we could do it in the open. Where else do you want to go but the 305 in my yayo? Come you know, sandy beaches. I think that really does play a big part in all this, and I think we're starting to see that now. And so with not only, if not, I mean, I know there's Bama people, USC people that would try to say that I'm different. They believe something different, but man, when you look at an alumni base of dudes that balled out in the NFL, ain't nobody, like, not just like numbers, not like, oh, these guys play in the, I'm talking about dudes that played in the NFL that were game changers. Game changers. Nah, dude, there ain't nobody messing with us, man. That we got, our history makes us successful of being able to show people, yo, and we come back. That's the thing. You go, you see Warren Sapp, you know, you see The Rock coming back to the U. Like, Jason Taylor's now at the U being around. You know what I mean? Like, Charlie Strong. Like, dude, Mario's building something that's a little different. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we could do. But the real test is over years the same way. Just keep recruiting and finding the best recruits and figuring out ways to be able to put them onto the football field. We'll see.
Last question for me, Jarrett. I know you've been at WGN TV for the last several years. I know that Dan Roan has retired earlier this year, but you guys, I'm not saying it just because you're on our show, but I know I watch you guys on GN Sports, and you're working with great people, especially a couple of friends of this show. You working with Caitlin Sharkey and Josh Fryman, of course, Chris Bone. Shout out to him as well. But what did you learn from Mr. Dan Roan working with him your first couple years there?
Man, I just got chills, man. I'm be honest with you. Dan Roan he's one of the GOATs, man. And so anytime that you're around greatness, you just listen. You don't need to talk a lot. You just listen. And it's cool because I remember when we first started GN Sports, that was at Chiefs and 49ers Super Bowl. Chiefs won, Miami. That's when we started. And I remember being on the show with him and being super nervous because you didn't want to mess up. Like when you're with a GOAT, you're like, I don't want to mess up. Did I say the right thing? Oh, this and that. And over time, man, our friendship just kind of took over. And so, man, I'm super grateful for the opportunity to work alongside of him, with him, but also how close we were at the end of his career and the conversations that we had and the stuff that he said about me, and like that he was, I was always looking for his approval, because if I got his approval, then I knew I could do what I'm doing. And you guys know I didn't go to school for any of this stuff. I didn't go to school for broadcasting. I didn't go journalism like everybody else going to Mizzou and all these other places. I've had to learn on my own. And so, the grind is hard. And the other thing is like, we don't always get a chance in this business to be where we want to be. It's like a friend of mine who used to be high up in McDonald's said, yeah, you want to open up a McDonald's? Well, guess what? McDonald's chooses where you're going to open up that restaurant. Just because you want it in your hometown don't mean you're going to get it in your hometown. Right. In this business, you might want to be on the East Coast, or you be in the Midwest, be in Chicago. It doesn't mean that's where you're going to start. You got to start somewhere, maybe in one of those smaller markets. I was blessed to be able to start in my hometown, to be in the third largest market in the country, and also, have a vehicle and a voice on the greatest station in Chicago, man. Like and talk about the teams that I love, like the teams that I love. Like, I'm telling you, it's a dream come true. I never take it for granted. And hopefully the way that Dan mentored me, Rich King, who was also there, who mentored me. Yeah. Hopefully I get an opportunity to do that to some young kids that are coming up trying to take my spot at some point. And I'm cool with that. I really am. I'm cool with that. I know eventually it's going to happen, but they're going to have to wait out for a while, because I'm not going nowhere for a minute. Here. But I also got to say this about the three people that you talked about: Caitlin Sharkey, Josh Fryman, and Chris Bowden. Man, it is a pleasure and an honor every single day to work alongside those three. And it's cool for me because GN Sports, Sunday through Thursday, I'm like, I'm the constant, but I get a chance to work with all three of them throughout my week. So it's a different vibe every single show. It's never the same. So with Chris and I starting out on Sundays, that vibe now is coming to like Bears football. We're going to vibe there. And then Caitlin and I on Monday and Tuesday, and then like, that's a vibe. And then I finish off my week with Josh, who we did a show for 6 years together. So we got that chemistry. We built a team at WGN. Like, it's a team. And there's no number one. You can look at whoever you think is number one. People could say that's me. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as I'm a part of a team, and I'm going to do whatever I got to do to be able to help my team win. And shouts out to our news director, Dom, because he kind of saw the vision as well. And this was the vision that I saw. And I think we only have so much more to grow as a group and as a team. And so it's an honor to call those three my teammates, and also like family, man. Like we got the best. I'm not saying this to say we got the best crew in town, boy. They ain't messing with us, man. It's Chicago's very own. And we got everything covered, man, from the way that we're out and the way we do shows. It's like, and we're not just saying that. I'm not just saying that. I don't know what they'll say, but I know how hard we all work Like, we all work hard, man, and we got each other's back. And you don't find that in this business. It's like, oh, I'm the number one guy, I'm going to do this. Nah, man, someone needs to do something. Like, I got you. Like, I wasn't in work yesterday because I wasn't feeling well. Caitlin, we had the football show, Chicago Football Weekly. She did that with Josh, and then she stayed to do the show with me. And then they're texting me during the show. It's a family atmosphere, and I don't think you could find that anywhere in this city when it comes to a sports department. So I don't even feel like I go to work every day. I go to, like, I'm sitting down watching games and covering stuff with my good friends. So it's an honor every single day to work with those three.
All right, Jarrett, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been such a great talk. Now, of course, you, of course. Where people can find you on social media and on WGN.
Oh, Payton Sun, PaytonSun on social, on all the social platforms. And if you go to WGN Sports on the WGN.com website, you get an opportunity to see some of the stuff that we're done. Shouts out to my people over at Soldier Field, my man Tim Lefevre for giving me that exclusive the other day, earlier this week, on the new sod that's being laid down at Soldier Field. First person to run on the sod, me. Only Ryder Payton got a chance to do it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that holds up on Sunday, even if we get a little bit of rain. So appreciate you guys, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I love what you guys do, and I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right, thank you, Jarrett. Of course, I'm 10 billion people around the world represent your father. I got to do it today, so I'm wearing your father's jersey. It was the best to ever do it. So I had to do it. I do not apologize for it. And you tell our good friends Josh and Kaylin, we said what's up. They always visit back on our show. You keep up the great work, young man, and we'll definitely have you back on again very soon. Okay.
Hey, man,
Chris has an interview too. So so you should tell Chris.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell Chris too. Chris always, man, he's sipping tea somewhere, talking about how I got wrong that the Sky weren't going to take it to another back-to-back WNBA finals. But it's all good. It's all good.
All right, Jarrett, stay safe.
Bye, guys.
All right, thank you, Jarrett.
Thanks, Jarrett. So that's Jarrett Payton from WGN. Sid, we gotta stretch for a second here.
Yes, we do. I love real quick. I know we up against it, but I love his honesty. I love his passion, and everything about him is 100% real. No errors, no fake attitude. That's just all 100% real, and that's what we love about him. So congratulations to that young man on his success. Like you said, it's a grind. He's worked his tail off, and he's going to continue to do that. So I'm glad he joined us on the show today. We're definitely going to have him back down the road.
All right, absolutely. So we're going to have our girl KXRB's Christy Manika back for our weekly NFL pick'ems, and we'll talk all about episode 2. We'll talk about the Sky and what the hell happened with them, and
college football. We gotta get to that.
College football too, and also to MLB this weekend in case we get to that either. So a lot to do still.
And our predictions too for the season.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh god, we got so much to do. Okay, so
we gotta pack it in a half hour. We gotta do it, but we can do it. We're gonna do it.
We'll do it. So we'll do this quick break first. Second City Sports Zone Chicago coming up. More after this.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago. Light day around baseball today. Cleveland at Detroit. The White Sox visit Kansas City. The Cardinals are at Denver. The Astros host the Rangers. The Red Sox at home against the Orioles. The Cubs take on the Reds in the Field of Dreams game in Dyersville, Iowa. The NFL preseason kicks into high gear this week. Tonight, the Giants visit the Patriots while the Titans head to Baltimore. Tomorrow, the Falcons visit the Lions. The Browns are at Jacksonville. The Jets visit the Eagles. The Cardinals at Cincinnati. The Packers are on the road at San Francisco on Saturday. Carolina at Washington. Kansas City at Chicago. The Bills host the Colts. The Bills, the current favorite to win the Super Bowl. The Seahawks visit the Steelers. It'll be the Dolphins at Tampa. The Texans hosting the Saints. The defending Super Bowl champion Rams battle the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. Denver at home against the Cowboys, while the Raiders host the Vikings. For lightning fast sports updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of the most popular sports apps in North America. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Sports Zone Chicago.
With our newest unlimited plan, everyone's welcome. Introducing Welcome Unlimited from Verizon for just $30 a line per month for 4 lines with autopay plus taxes and fees. Our best priced unlimited plan ever.
Did he say $30?
Yep, $30 a line for the whole family. The network you want, the price you love. Switch to Verizon today. Paper-free billing required. Unlimited 5G nationwide 4G LTE. In times of congestion, your data may be temporarily slower than other traffic. All smartphone lines on the account must be on Welcome Unlimited and are eligible only for select promotions. Includes domestic talk, text, and data usage only. Data roaming at 2G speeds.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Spot, left knee was down. It's where the ball is when the knee comes down. Knee just a little bit, and Allen will boot, and he'll flip it wide open. The man who scored all the touchdowns in the playoffs, Gabe Davis, touchdown Buffalo.
Now much bigger guys inside for the Bills.
Cup bottom of the screen. Stafford looking that way, throwing that way. Cup puts the toes down, in for the touchdown. Cooper Kupp. First and goal. Bills driving for the lead, and Allen throws. Touchdown inside. Isaiah McKenzie.
It was a great play by Jalen Ramsey, too.
You got it. Third and goal. Allen keeps it, pumps, runs, breaks the plane. Touchdown, Buffalo. Third and 4. Allen stepping up, and now floating it downfield, and Diggs is behind the secondary. Stumbles, but brings it in.
Oh, those highlights, there you go. Those highlights, courtesy of NBC Sports. Gotta get those rejoins here. Welcome back to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Lakeena McGee along with Sydney Brown. Got a lot to pack in this last segment, so we're gonna get right to it. Starting with bringing in our girl one more time. Of course, you know her, you love her, we love her too. She's back for our weekly pick'ems this season. She is
Year number 2 for her.
Yeah, year number 2 for her. Yeah, so. She is Christine Manika. Christine, how are you? Yay!
What's going on?
Oh,
football
boy.
is here. It's back to football.
I'm
Football,
excited.
Yeah, right. I mean, real quick though, before we get to our picks, what you guys think about last night's game between the Bills and the Rams? Josh Allen, I think, played like a man possessed. Now, like we said earlier, this isn't just kind of like a speed, but look, all the bright lights and such. I mean, all they'll get in their rings and whatnot. So I'm not worried about the Rams. So what do you guys think?
I'm with you. I wouldn't worry about the Rams too much since it is only the start of the season. I'll tell you what, I went to bed and it was still tied 10-10. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I probably fell asleep around the end of the third quarter and I woke up, it was 31-10. I said, whoa, what did I miss? It wasn't like this 3 quarters ago, whatever. But yeah, it's crazy. Cooper Kupp had an amazing game, even though they ended up losing. But yeah, Josh Allen, I don't know what you can do to stop him. He looked great last night.
Lakeena, as well as I do, Christine, that the first 2 weeks of an NFL season is overreaction. People that start off hot, they want to put them in the Super Bowl. The teams that start off mediocre or bad, you want to toss them to the Wolves and say they're the worst teams ever. But last night, a couple of things. The Rams have offensive line issues.
Yes,
hopefully they'll get it straightened out. They got away with not having a consistent running game last year. I don't know if they'll be able to do that this year. Remember, Stafford has that injury to his elbow, which he had surgery on during the offseason. Let's pay attention to that. I think the Rams will still be good, but we all know it's difficult to repeat, especially in today's NFL, so we have to watch out for that. On the flip side for Buffalo, they looked like a team on the mission last night. Von Miller got in there and got a couple of sacks. But remember, Lakeena, I said this last year. I think you remember too, Christine. I said this last year about Buffalo, and I'm going to say it again this year. If Josh Allen leads that team in rushing yards, you are in trouble. Let me repeat one more again, as you young folks would say. If Josh Allen runs the ball more than their running backs, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah, they're the 14 in the last 50 seasons to convert 90% of their third downs in a game, joining the 08 Saints that did against the Lions in in 08, and also to the 2021 Chiefs that did against the Eagles. I remember that game. Also 1978 Patriots who did it against the Jets. So that's crazy. But again, like you said, so it's a little bit overreaction. So, but we're not going to overreact to our picks here. So let's get right to it. You got, starting off in the NFC South, you got the Saints and the Falcons. Jameis Winston's back after suffering an ACL injury last year. New coach in Dennis Allen. The Falcons, they were right there for a lot of their games last year, but nothing is really expected from them this year. So, Christine, I'll start with you. What do you think about this game?
I'm going to go New Orleans for this one just because Atlanta is so up in the air right now. We don't know what that team's going to look like pretty much. And it's kind of a wild card situation for them. So it's the first week, but I'm going to go with New Orleans for this one.
The Saints are 4-point favorites on the road. Atlanta is rebuilding. I think the Saints can blow them out. I don't know if it's going to be a total blowout, but I think they'll beat them more than 4 points. So I'm going with the Saints.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm picking the Saints too. Reverse sweep right off the bat for all the reasons that you guys said. I mean, I know Marcus Mariota's over there now in Atlanta, but there's not much there at this point. They're still trying to figure things out. So the Saints could be right there with the Bucs in the NFC South. So we'll see how that goes. Now, an interesting one here. This one will be on CBS. This next one, we got Cleveland and Carolina. Of course, Baker Mayfield makes his return to they're coming to him, I should say. The Browns are going to him, so he'll be facing them for the first time. Deshaun Watson, of course, suspended and such. So, I'm looking forward to see what happens here, how Mayfield shakes out here, because there's a lot. I don't want to say this is sort of like a make or break season for Matt Rule and the Panthers. A lot of emotion. I think it's going to be close. You can tell us the point total. So I'll say the Panthers. I think that Mayfield's going to kind of like carry them to victory, but don't quote me on that. But I'll probably change my mind again. So, Sid, go ahead.
The Browns surprisingly are 1-point favorites. Of course, this is a home game for Carolina. Usually, if you're a home favorite, you get 3 points. But I'm not trusting that line. If you're a betting man, I wouldn't bet it. But I'll do bet this: Carolina will win the game. It may be an ugly, I'll say, Lakeena's 1980 style football, but I think it's going to be like a 23-10 game, something in that arena. And Baker Mayfield will do just enough to win. So I'm going with Carolina at home.
I hope Baker Mayfield just stomps on this whole Browns team. I really do. It would be the best screw you in the NFL history, if I do say so myself. So I'm going Carolina for this one.
Ooh, first 2 games, 2 sweeps. I love it. Now, we may differ a little bit on this next one in AFC North. 2 old rivals scoring off. Of course, the Bengals coming off, Super Bowl runners-up. So, of course, the Rams, you got the Steelers. Now Mitch Trubisky is now the starter for now. This could be one of those very ugly games. So, Jesus, I don't know. This I'll say the Bengals. Like, this could be like a 9-6, 6-3 kind of thing, like it usually is between these 2 teams. But I don't know, Christy, what do you think?
As much as I would love to root for my boy Mitch Trubisky on his finally second chance to get a starting position, I'm going to go with Cincinnati here. You got Joe Burrow, right? And then you have Jamar Chase, pretty much all the same guys that got you to the Super Bowl last season. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
Cincinnati is a 6.5-point favorite. I'm taking Cincinnati. Remember, folks, for you Pittsburgh fans, I know some of you looking for upsets. Remember, Pittsburgh went into Buffalo, upset Buffalo in week 1 last year on the road. So could it happen again? It's possible, but I'm going with Cincinnati.
All right, 3 sweeps, okay. Eagles and the Lions. This should be an intriguing matchup. So you start this one.
We all remember what happened last year, right? The Eagles went into Detroit and stumped out the Lions. It was ugly. I think things will be a little bit different this year. The Eagles are a 4-point favorite on the road. I think the Lions will play better because they're at home. Of course, your head coach, Dan Campbell, was grabbing some camera time on Hard Knocks this year. But with that being said, I know it's a lot of expectations of Philadelphia to go back into the playoffs or go deep in the playoffs, perhaps win the NFC East. We'll have our division picks coming up after this. But as far as this game is concerned, it's going to be closer than what people think, but I'm going with Philadelphia.
I'm going Philadelphia too. Look, I don't know how crazy this is to you guys, but this game is actually sold out for this weekend. Like, it's only standing room only. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why. I guess it's like the first time since 2019 that the Lions have sold out a game that wasn't during a playoff and wasn't during Thanksgiving. So why is this game sold out? I can't figure that out for the life of me. But yeah, Philadelphia's got this one.
Could be Philly fans traveling to Detroit.
I don't know. I was literally dumbfounded when I saw that.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, but I don't know.
Exactly, I don't know.
I'm flummoxed there, but I guess a lot of people are expecting something from the Lions. I guess the Lions will keep it close. I'll say that this won't be like the shellacking that they went through last year when they played the Eagles, but I think Eagles will pull through. Look, a lot of people are picking the Eagles to perhaps maybe not win the NFC East, but at least go back to the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there.
And it's the debut of AJ Brown too.
Yeah, so
there's the wide receiver from Tennessee. They via trade.
Well, yeah, we'll see how many times Hurts throws to him. Here in the AFC South, you got the Colts and the Texans, but also let's remember this just came across the rise about 30 minutes ago that Shaq Leonard will not play. He's been ruled out, it looks like, so a little loss there for that defense. But I still think the Colts will pull it off. I think Lovie Smith, his debut back in NFL sidelines. I think Texans will keep it close, but I think the Colts will kind of pull away. I think they're kind of on a mission there to get back, try to get into the playoffs because they missed an opportunity last year.
We picked straight up winners on this show, so I'm still going with Indianapolis. Plus, it'll be the debut of Matt Ryan, but the Colts are favored by 8 points. If you're a smart man, you're looking for a sneaky play, take Houston in the points.
Ooh, that's a good tip. I'm going to go with Indianapolis too. I have confidence in Matt Ryan. Jonathan Taylor, I'm expecting to see big things out of him this season. And Lovey, he's just getting his feet wet back into it. And again, it's another team that you don't know really what you're going to expect seeing them on the field. So Indianapolis.
All right. A good one here in the AFC East. You've got the Patriots and the Dolphins. Christine?
This was one of the games that I started saying I'm going to come back to that pick, but I picked it and I asked a coworker of mine. This isn't because he's a New England fan, but we were talking about football and I just said, all right, who do you think's going to win? And he says, for whatever reason, once a year, Miami always they always win at least once a year against the Patriots. So I'm taking that one time as right now, the once a year. So this is my wild pick, and I'm going to say Miami.
Remember, Miami beat New England in New England last year on opening week. So this could be the second year in a row that happens. But this time, the game this year is in Miami to open up the 2022 season. The Dolphins are favored by 3 points. I'm going with Lakeena on this one. This could be an ugly game. We'll see what Mac Jones does in year 2 in the Patriots uniform. I want to see what Tua Tagovailoa does now with the debut of Tyreek Hill. They have a new running back. Their defense is still strong. Can Tua throw the deep ball? We'll see starting this Sunday, but I'm taking the Dolphins in a close one.
Should be a close one, but I'm also picking the Dolphins too. You got Mike McDaniel, taking over. He's bringing kind of like that offensive, sort of thing that he ran when he was in San Fran. So I think we're going to see a little bit, a difference here. Like I said, don't be surprised. It's like a 12-10 or 13-10 or something like that. That's probably how this game probably end up happening. So we'll see what happens there. Now, Lamar Jackson betting on himself. Of course, he and the Ravens break off contract talks, so he'll have his first big test to show if he deserves the money as the Ravens play the Jets. The Jets looks like they're going to be without a couple of their top guys. I guess like Dwayne Brown might not play this week. So I think they may have a field day. Of course, you got Joe Flacco. Look, this is his first rodeo. Of course, we know he's got a Super Bowl under his belt, but that was years ago with the Ravens, I should say. So I think the Ravens, I don't know what the point total is, but I think the Ravens might win this one. I'm not going to say handily, but I would say just take the under, whatever the point is. So I want to say the Ravens. Trying to clean myself up with that one.
Does it really matter if the Jets are going to miss any players at this point with the seasons they've had the last couple of years? I'll be impressed if they even get to that 500 level for wins this year. But I think for the first week, like you said, even though they have the veteran Joe Flacco, I'm going to give it to Baltimore.
Baltimore's favored by 5 points on the road, and Zach Wilson, their second-year quarterback, will not be back until week 4. If you ask Jets head coach Robert Saleh that again, he'll cuss you out. With that being said, Baltimore, remember Lakeena before Lamar Jackson had that season-ending injury last year. Baltimore struggled on the road, including they needed a Justin Tucker historic 67-yard field goal to beat the Lions last year. but they should not have a problem beating the Jets. They should not. So I'm going with Baltimore.
Let's hope they don't have any trouble. Now the Jaguars and the Commanders. Sid, you start this one.
The Washington Commanders. We don't have to call them the football team anymore. They're favored by 3.5. It's a big year for first-year quarterback for that team, Carson Wentz. This could be the swan song. I don't want to say it, but could this be the swan song of head coach Ron Rivera? They haven't been in the playoffs in a couple years. And I've been hyped on Jacksonville as being one of the most improved teams in the league. They're going to start off right in our nation's capital. Trevor Lawrence, I expect a big year for him in year 2. Doug Peterson, the former Super Bowl head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles from 2017, he's now taking over the helm in Jacksonville. I expect a good performance out of those guys. I'm taking Jacksonville in an upset.
Do I want to trust Carson Wentz, or do I want to trust a really bad Jacksonville team? Even with Trevor Lawrence as the quarterback, who hasn't really shown me much in his NFL career. It's the lesser of two evils.
No Meyer anymore, Christine.
Carson Wentz has just had a horrible history. And if I was a Commanders fan, I would be literally crapping my pants, just like how I was as a Bears fan with Andy Dalton, just like waiting to see what happens. So I'm going to pick Jacksonville for this one.
This is another toss. This is a toss-up game for me. I just don't know what to expect out of either of these teams. So, like I said, I'll pick Jacksonville. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders beat them. Like, would Jacksonville beating Washington be an upset? I mean, interconference home dog, I guess. I don't know. But,
Micah English checks in via YouTube at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. He says Jags. So, I'm going with the Jags. So we'll see what happens in that contest.
Should be an interesting one there. Now, first of the 325 games, you've got the Giants and the Titans. Now, I'll just keep it short and sweet. I'm picking the Titans, even though, yes, I think Derrick Henry will propel them to the win. And I just don't trust the Giants. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm with you, Lakeena. I'm keeping it short and sweet.
Do you want to do it? 1, 2, 3.
Titans. Yes.
There we go.
Moving on.
I love it. Okay, this should be a good one, but DeAndre Hopkins is out. Rondell Moore might be out. The Chiefs and the Cardinals. That's a 325 game on CBS. I think most of the nation will get this game, including here in Chicago. I don't know what's the point, Sid?
I don't have the point totals, but the Chiefs are right now even 3-point road favorite.
I guess I'll pick Kansas City. It pains because I love the Cardinals, but Hopkins being out, we got a couple other injuries. I know they just re-signed their top pass rusher, but Chandler Jones isn't there anymore, like Kate Rooney said earlier. I'm going to pick the Chiefs.
Kansas City for me.
Kansas City. I think Kyler Murray has just been a little bit of a headache for the Cardinals this offseason. So we'll see how they adapt to that situation and if they'll respond to Murray. But for now, it's Kansas City.
This should be a fun one here in the AFC West. I'll be watching this game via this lovely laptop here.
Me too.
Right. You got the Raiders and the Chargers. Christine, you start this one.
This is tough for me. I think that these are pretty evenly matched teams, especially for the first week. I love Justin Herbert. He's young. I think he really got the momentum going for the Chargers last year, and I really thought that they had a strong chance to go to the Super Bowl, and I still think that. I think right now, let's see if Las Vegas. Let's see if the Raiders can get back from the drama they had last season, which ended up being something every week, I feel like. So I'm going to go with the Chargers this time around.
The Chargers are a 4-point favorite at home. The Raiders, I think they are much improved. Of course, you had Devontae Adams there from Green Bay. You had Max Crosby as a top pass rusher on defense. Remember, they gave Cincinnati trouble last year in the wild card round before Cincinnati pulled out that victory. And of course, they went on to the Super Bowl. The Chargers, they should have been in the playoffs last year. Second-year head coach Brandon Staley, he has some work to do. Justin Herbert's going to take another big step, and they'll start their journey to the playoffs by getting the dub on Sunday. And the Chargers have a defense too outside of Joey Bosa. Watch out for Khalil Mack. He's out of Chicago. He's healthy. I want to see the game.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to help the Chargers. I think they left a lot of points on the board, especially in this game last season that should have gotten into the playoffs, but it is what it is. But so that's why I think the defense is going to be the difference here in this game. I trust the Chargers defense a little bit more than I trust the Raiders. I think offense-wise, they're evenly matched. So I'm going to pick the Chargers, A, because they're home, and B, I think I trust their defense a little bit more.
Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
There may be Josh McDaniels after the game on Sunday.
I'm fighting a really bad sore throat. So.
All right. Well, look, we'll let you rest your throat for a second as we go through the NFC North. Of course, this will be the game of the week on Fox. Of course, Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi will make their debut as a team. They'll be doing this game. Packers and Vikings. It looks like Alan Lazard will not play. It looks like David Bakhtiari is questionable. The Vikings are like the trendy team in the NFC North, the people to pick. So this could be the game that they split their season series last year. So Sid, I'll start with you on this one.
The Packers are a 1.5 favorite on the road. That means this game will be at a pick 'em. Sid's going to pick them. I'm picking the Vikings. The Vikings, I just want to see a little bit more improvement as they revamp their defense. They have the talent on offense with my guy Justin Jefferson. Let's see what Kirk Cousins does. And Dalvin Cook is one of the top running backs in the league when healthy. So with that being said, it's a home opener for the Vikings. They'll be pumped. I'm going with the Vikings. On the flip side for Aaron Rodgers, let's see how long it takes for him to get connected with these new receivers.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they have to get used to life without Devontae Adams. It's going to be different this time around for Aaron Rodgers. And I read that he did some sort of, what is this, voodoo medicine type thing during the offseason. And like he went to a psychic and said, this is going to be his best season ever. Some crazy stuff that I read. And I'm like, you know what? That doesn't surprise me with Rodgers. But I like where this Minnesota team is heading. They have a great new coach, great new general manager. They have Jefferson. They got Cook when healthy, like you said. I'm still not sold on Cousins after all this time, but I think they're the lesser of two evils right now. So I'm going to go Minnesota.
I think this is going to be one of those games where I think it's going to take Rodgers a couple of games to get him and his new receivers kind of get going, especially since Lazard's not going to play. So I think this could be the Vikings. Like I said, this could be another very close battle like it usually is between these two. So at home, I'm picking the Vikings. I want to see how that offense looks and also their defense. I mean, I think that's going to really be the key for them this year. The primetime game, Sunday Night Football. You got the Bucks and the Cowboys. Jesus. I've been back and forth with this one as well. Yeah, it's true. I've been back and forth on this one. A lot of O-line issues with the Bucks. And, the Cowboys, I don't know what to expect from them. They didn't play very well in the preseason. Very undisciplined. This could be one of those ugly games. This probably gets my better judgment. I'll pick the Bucks. I don't know why, but this could be one of those ugly games, but I'm picking the Bucks.
Speaking of the lesser of two evils, Lakeena, Tampa Bay is favored by 2 points. This will be Brady's last regular season opener before he goes to Fox next year. I'll say that much right now. Number 2, as you mentioned, Lakeena, Dallas, like I said, Ezekiel Elliott is a shell of himself. Tony Pollard should get the majority of those carries from the running back position. Dak Prescott is my starting quarterback this year in fantasy. I don't know if I should start him on Joe Burrow, but I'll make that decision later. But with that being said, I think this is less of two evils. Just because they're home, I know I'm gonna hate myself on Monday morning, but I'm picking the Cowboys. I'm not enthused by it, but I'm picking the Cowboys.
Yeah, this is another game that was a toss-up for me, too. In the last couple of weeks, there's just been a lot of drama, unnecessary drama for the Bucs. You have Tom Brady that is either going through a rough time personally or on the Masked Singer gone for 11 days, and nobody seems to really
Wink, wink.
Exactly, wink, wink. Nobody seems to know where he was the last 11 days. And apparently he's 45 years old. He's got fill in the blank to do, and I get that. He's got older kids and whatnot. He wants to be part of their lives. Then again, you have a new coach. You have new players like Akeem Hicks that's going to be joining the Bucs. And gosh, it's just tough because you have to question, is Brady going to be mentally there? Is his mind going to be on football when he's on the field? And I think for that reason, there's a lot of stuff going on for him. I'm going to go with Dallas.
All right, should be an interesting one there. Another interesting one here. This will be the Monday Night Football with the debut of Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Lisa Salters. For me to say, look, I'm saving time here, folks. We still got a lot to do here. We're up against it, but yeah, Broncos and Seahawks. Of course, Russell Wilson makes his return back to Seattle. I know. Look. I think it's gonna be like a lot closer than this game will be a lot closer than people think. I know, the Broncos, they still got some questions too on defense, especially. I'll pick Denver, but I think it's gonna be a lot closer. Geno Smith's gonna be the starter, at least for this game against Seattle, with Seattle against Denver. So this could be an interesting game. There'll be a lot of emotion. Seattle keeps it close, but I think the Broncos will pull away on this one.
All right, Sid. 1, 2, 3.
I might surprise you. Seattle.
Come on.
I'm going with Seattle.
Oh, he's going with that. Okay.
I'm going with Seattle. 1, because I said so, young lady. And number 2, this will probably be the time that they'll show up for 60 minutes all year because they're at home. Everybody's watching. In Denver, I'm not impressed by them. Yes, they got their quarterback, but do they have the number 1 wide receiver? Will the defense even live up to what they did last year? Until I see it, I'm going with Seattle.
I got to go Denver. I mean, if you want to have a team come into your home turf for Seattle, it's the guy that knows that field better than anybody else. It's Russell Wilson, because it's always, I think, between Denver and Seattle, those are the toughest fields to play on. So that's already an advantage for Russell Wilson. And I think he just brings that sort of energy that the Broncos that they need for them to propel forward. And I see them having a pretty good run this season. So Denver.
All right. Last but not least, 49ers and the Bears. Looks like rain might be a little bit of a factor, not much. I mean, it is. You got that new sod, coming out, of course. We have WGN.
Doesn't matter with the rain at this point. Doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, look. Well, yeah, I mean, like I think our girl Kate Rooney said earlier that a lot of these guys are probably relishing the rain because they're not used to it. So it might be a little bit of an adjustment, but it's going to be warm, so it's not gonna be like rainy and cold. It's just going to be rainy and a little bit warmer. But it could be the run game. You may see Deebo Samuel a lot, and they got a nice little running back core as well for the 49ers. Like I said, I think the Bears will keep it close. Feign off the emotion and such, but I think it's like 7.5. I think is the point.
It's down to 6.5 now.
6.5. Okay, so I would say take the under, but I say the 49ers will win it.
Christine?
Yeah, I'll go with the 49ers here. This is the deal. Trey Lance is actually getting his first start, right? And the guy is a Minnesota native, not holding that against him. But he's coming out of NDSU. It's a smaller Division I college. We've seen what happened when those smaller kids' schools get into the bigger leagues, aka Carson Wentz, the prime example of NDSU after the fact. And it's just not the best track record. And when it comes to the Bears, I can talk all day about that right now. I can talk all day about what they've done wrong this offseason, but that's not going to solve any problems. The only advantage I think that the Bears are going to have is that Kittle could potentially be out for this game, depending on how he is injury-wise or whatnot. So that's pretty much the only advantage. And not so much of a veteran quarterback. Those are the only two advantages they got right now. And with this team still being new and green, kind of going into a rebirth, I just don't see it. This could be the only game that they could win. And if they don't, then there's going to be some more questions than answers. So I'm going to say 49ers, San Francisco.
I'm taking the Bears to win outright, and I'm definitely taking them in the points because I want to see what Trey Lance does. I know he started a couple of games last year, but this is his first opening day start. The Bears defense, especially with the rookie Jaquan Brisker at strong safety, I think he's going to show up and show out. I want to see David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert run the ball, and I think that's the Bears' best chance to win is to keep that 49ers defense on his heels. I want to see how Justin Fields does from year one to year two. Remember, he almost pulled off the upset on Halloween last year against the 49ers at Soldier Field. I think it's going to be better this year. It'll probably be better by this time at the end of the season, but I think we'll start to see some improving signs on Sunday. So I got the Bears in a close one. Outright victory, and I'm definitely taking them in the points.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's do this. Those are your week 1 picks for the NFL, and now it is time. Of course, you're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Lakeena McGee, Sydney Brown, and our girl KXRB's Christine Manika with us. She'll be with us weekly once again to for our NFL picks. Now, our division picks, we're not to do the Super Bowl just yet, but just giving you division winners and wild cards. Sid, I'll start with you.
Division winners. Coming out of the NFC East, Philadelphia. Coming out of the NFC North is the Minnesota Vikings. Coming out of the South is Tampa Bay. And then coming out of the West is the LA Rams.
Your wild cards?
Wild cards, Dallas. Remember, 4 division winners, 3 wild cards for those of you scoring at home.
Mm-hmm.
My 3 wild cards out of the NFC: Dallas, Green Bay, and San Francisco.
Okay, Christine.
All right, I'm going to go Cowboys for the NFC East. Then I'm going to go the Vikings, NFC North. For the South, I'm going to go, the Saints.
Oh, okay. Got them upsetting the Bucks.
And then for the wild card, I'm going to take the Eagles. So I flip-flop with you there, Sid.
Okay. Who you got for the West first?
I'm going. Oh, the West. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I'm going to go Rams for the division winner. The wild card. What did I say? Eagles.
You said Eagles.
And then Minnesota and one more. Gosh. I'll say Cardinals.
I mean, that wouldn't be surprising. I mean,
that wouldn't be surprising, but
that would be a big surprise. I mean, I think once Hopkins comes back once he gets into rhythm, I can kind of see that. NFC.
So Christine has the Tampa Bay out of the playoffs.
There's too much drama. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, for me, I got Philly from the East.
Tom Brady.
Right. Yes, of course. I got Philadelphia. I got Minnesota. So I got them knocking off Green Bay in the North. I'm following that trend. I'll say the Bucks, and I'll say the Rams in the West. For the wild cards, I'll say the 49ers, Green Bay, and Dallas. We all got pretty much the same teams for the most part. And for the AFC, I'll say the East, I'll have Buffalo. I got Baltimore in the North. The South, I'll say Indianapolis. I guess my better judgment, even though they let me down last year. The Chargers, that really, yes, I'm picking the Chargers in the upsets. I don't know that would be an upset. I got Kansas City as a wild card. I'll say Miami and, I'll say Tennessee for the AFC on the wild card side.
Okay. All right, here we go. Division winners for the AFC. In the East, Buffalo. Pretty much what Lakeena said. The East, Buffalo. The North, I will take Baltimore. So I'm going to surprise you. I'm taking Baltimore for the North. For the South, Indianapolis. For the West, the Chargers. And then for my wild cards, I will have Cincinnati. I will have Kansas City. And this is my wild card. I know I'm going out on a limb, but I'm gonna say it. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh boy.
Oh, okay. All right.
You gotta get a little creative every once in a while,
Oh,
folks.
Of course,
boy.
of course.
gotta
Yeah.
shake
Okay,
things up.
Christy, what about yours?
I got the Bills, the East.
Mhm.
Then I'm gonna go with the Chiefs for the West.
Okay.
The North, I'm gonna go, oh gosh, Ravens. And then for the South, the Colts. Wild card, I'm gonna go with the Patriots, Chargers, and Bengals.
All right.
Okay. All right.
All right, you guys. Those are our division and winners and wild cards. So I know we're really we're past the break, but real quick. I mean, we won't do the whole. Let's not do the whole MLB schedule, Sid. We'll just do like some the big. So like the big games. Of course, you've got because of course you got they got the Sox against the Oakland A's. They're finishing up their weekend series. Minnesota and Cleveland, they got like a strange 5-gamer starting tonight because one of them was a doubleheader. Toronto and Texas staying right there in the staying right there in the wild card race. Of course, you got the Mets and the Marlins. Let's see what else. Atlanta and Seattle in interleague matchup. That should be a fun one. That should be a really good one. Let's see what else. Oh, Tampa Bay and the Yankees. Could the Yankees use this opportunity to kind of get themselves, put some distance between them and the race, since they're right there and they're breathing down our necks now. And let's see, Baltimore and Boston and Baltimore, trying to sort of keep up there. Of course, no more Peacock games and no more Apple TV Plus games this year. The rest of the season, I'm sure people are going to be happy about that. Of course, the Sunday night baseball game is San Francisco and the Cubs. That'll be on ESPN. Of course, the Fox game is tomorrow. well, I guess I had to throw the Cubs a bone here. Cleveland, Minnesota, that'll be one of the Fox games. All your White Sox fans out there will be able to watch that game. Most of you. And also to the Angels and the Astros. That'll be the other part of that regional coverage.
Yes, so that's your schedules for the MLB for this weekend. We still have a few minutes left. I know we're going over a little bit, but we still have a couple minutes left as you listen to the Friday edition of Second City Sports or Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. It's Christine. Let's wrap up. I want to get to Christine on the White Sox to wrap up the show, but I want to ask Christine and Lakeena about last week's action in college football. Brian Kelly, LSU, all those fans got his head on those chopping block.
Oh, God.
Boy. And you're Fighting Irish, Christine. What happened?
I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed at how they played because they're under a new coach. They got a lot of new blood out there on the field, a lot of great new energy. And let's face it, Ohio State's a great team. They really are. And what I saw on the field was a lot of hope for the future for the Fighting Irish. So I was not disappointed by that. I think Marcus Freeman really showed up for the first game for the Fighting Irish. And tomorrow they play Marshall. So this could either be a high-scoring game or a high-scoring game. Who knows?
They need it.
They need that. They definitely.
It was great last year because I was going back and forth between last week. I was going back and forth between the White Sox game and the Fighting Irish. So I was in heaven on Saturday night. It was great. I wanted to yell at the national announcers on Saturday for Dylan Cease.
We'll get to that in just a moment. Save it. We'll get to it in just a moment.
Why didn't you shut him up? Why didn't you just say stop it?
We'll get to that in just a moment. Save it.
All right, going through real quick for some of these games for tomorrow. You got Alabama and Texas. That's a big noon Saturday game.
Noon Saturday.
That should be an interesting one over there in Austin, Texas. I know Texas can beat Alabama, but you never know where things have happened. Wake Forest and Vanderbilt. Not going to say they should be on upset alert, but just to keep an eye on that one. Utah hosting Southern Utah. They should be able to bounce back from that disappointing loss to
Utah.
Florida.
We told you last week, Lakeena. Utah.
You said it.
They needed to play tough. They did. They just couldn't hold on.
No, they didn't. And a good one here, Tennessee and Pittsburgh. That'll be a 2:30 game on ABC. Wazoo and Wisconsin. That's the Fox game. Second half of that double header.
That's going to be a good one. Yep. The Cougars against Washington State at Wisconsin. That's going to be a good one.
could be also for the Badgers. Houston and Texas Tech. FS1, that should be a fun one. Iowa and Iowa State, that rivalry, that's always a fun one. BTN, Virginia and Illinois, hoping to bounce back from that loss at Indiana. Illinois is, let's see,
Kentucky and Florida on ESPN Saturday night tomorrow at 6 p.m.
Yeah, should be a fun one.
Can Florida build off that win last week against Utah?
Yeah, Syracuse and UConn, that should be an interesting one. That's going to be on CBS Sports Network. Of course, we talked about this with Kate Rooney earlier. Got USC and Stanford. That's going to be the night game on ABC. And that's pretty much it. I mean, Mississippi State and Arizona, that should be a interesting one. Of course, Baylor and BYU on ESPN.
Your West Coast football, Lakeena.
Well, that should be a fun one too, because BYU is a pretty good squad, and so is Baylor. Baylor, the defending Big 12 champs. So that should be a fun
Hawaii
one.
and Michigan on Big Ten Network tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
at the big house.
That should be an interesting one there too. For Michigan, I know Michigan's got a pretty, I don't want to say a light schedule, but yeah, their first 4 games are at home, so there's no reason why it shouldn't be 4-0 when they get real quick though with the Sky. I mean, what happened? Speaking of what happened,
I know another meltdown late in the game.
Losing to Connecticut Sun. I know their players were like, chomping at the bit. I saw the high. They were kind of like chirping at the crowd over there, Wintrust. And I know there were some folks that were saying, why did Candace Parker leave when she did? I know she was frustrated. This could be her last season. Has her wife had their baby yet? I'm not quite sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
that could be a factor too. She's gonna be a mom soon. She's got that great contract with Turner. And I know she's making more money doing that than she is doing on the WNBA, so she might retire. I don't know. Something to look out for there. It'll be the Sun and the Las Vegas Aces for the WNBA crown. Best of 5 starts Sunday, so if you guys get a chance, check it out. You can. And I think that's all. Francis Tiafoe from the U.S. Open. Real quick, do you guys think he can win his first Grand Slam? He plays, I think, tonight.
Yes, great story. Yes.
I think so, yeah.
I really like him. Hopefully this will be his breakthrough. That men's side's wide open, but hopefully he can pull it out. Now we can do the Dylan Cease White Sox and such. So
you first, Christine. I'll go second.
I could not stop screaming at the television. Shut up! Like why did AJ Pierzynski just slap him? Just be like, dude, you're gonna mess it up. Don't say anything. So I was visibly frustrated at the TV, and I almost threw it at one point, but it doesn't discredit the fact that he had an amazing outing, Dylan Cease. I said it at the beginning of the season, said that he was the player to watch out for, and look what's happening. Look at what's happening. I just want to put that out there, that I called it.
Well, look, with Verlander being on the IL, I mean, he could probably definitely sneak in to be probably the favorite for AL Cy Young. So if he keeps it up, he had a great outing last night. So
it was awesome to watch that game. Very, very heartbreaking to see the reaction once that hit was made. And I think a lot of people were saying, well, why didn't he just walk the guy? The perfect game was already out of the question from the 4th inning or whatever it was. Why didn't you just walk him? And he gave a really good answer. He said, I would have been perceived as weak, that I didn't really fully earn that no-hitter status because I let him get off so easy. And I respect that answer. That's a very humble answer to say, I thought I could take him on, and he beat me in the end. And I know a lot of people, this is what probably should have happened too. The guys who were when it was the bottom of the 8th inning and they had that pitching change for Minnesota.
Rugger Baldelli was an idiot. Changed about 3 or 4 or 5 times. Oh, good crap.
I know. That could have all been avoided if everyone just struck out. I get it. There's a grand slam. I'm happy for that guy. It's his first grand slam. I'm thrilled, and I get it. It's your job to hit the ball, and that's how you make your money pretty much. But when I thought that when Jose went up to the plate, I thought for the second, okay, he's going to strike out purposely just so he can get his man back up there. No, he gets a ground rule double. I'm like, come on, Jose. The guy's going to get cold before he gets back up there. So I was kind of hoping that was the strategy that they would do, but you know, what do I know? But it was still it was a great night. Either way, it was a great win. And maybe Tony should just stay out for the rest of the season. I don't know.
real quick, I got in that game last Saturday night for free, so I was thankful for that.
Yeah.
I started paying attention from about the 5th inning on. It's like history could happen, but that's the most energetic I've seen that Sox crowd all year. Of course,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, especially what happened the night before, a week ago now tonight, and beating the Twins the way they did. Lance Lynn just leading that charge in that 9th inning last Friday, in which they ended up with the first win of that series. But back to the Dylan Cease thing, it was great bringing that crowd. I almost broke down and started crying. No, I didn't cry, but because I was just so nervous for Dylan Cease. Of course, Dylan Cease was nervous of everybody because he had to pitch the game. I'm just a fan like everybody else, but I started paying attention about the 5th and 6th inning. I was like, okay, I think this could happen. Don't forget now, Dylan Cease, even after all this, ended up with 103 pitches total for the whole game, including the hit he gave up to Luis Arias. But in the 9th inning, Christine, remember, he got those first 2 outs with ease. So I said, I was like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. But in the back of my mind, Luis Arias, who ended up getting that hit, I said, is the only person that had a chance to breaking up the whole no-hitter was Arias. And obviously he did it, but people forget Dylan Cease had him down 1-2.
Yeah, exactly.
And he threw a slider that broke in the middle of the play, and Arias took advantage of it. But it was still a hell of a performance by Dylan Cease. His first complete game shutout. And even though the Sox lost the next day, you saw what they're doing right now. They on their current 7-game road trip, they've taken 3 out of 4 games so far. They won a series in Seattle. They took the first game in grand fashion at Oakland last night. This should be a sweep for the rest of the series this weekend before they come home to play Colorado for 2 at home next week, and then go back on the road to Cleveland for that makeup game, and then 3 at Detroit next weekend.
Do you remember what happened the last time Dylan Cease had a no going for him? Tony pulled him out. So I was
that was Michael Kopech.
Oh, was that Michael Kopech?
Yeah,
that was Kopech. I think. Yeah,
that was Kopech.
Well, either way, if Tony was in there, he still would have pulled him out.
I was thinking about that. I said it would have been a 50-50 shot. It would have been a 50-50 shot to be fair.
Yep.
I told my coworkers that I said 9 times out of 10, maybe 50-50. If Tony was there, he would have pulled out Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
But it was good. Speaking of Dylan Cease, real quick, after he gave up that hit, Ethan Katz came out there after his teammates they pat him on the back. Ethan Katz said, concentrate. We still got one more batter. Buckle down. And that's exactly what Cease did. So that was a great moment. All of us fans there cheered him, but Dylan Cease got back on track and finished out the game on fire.
Yeah, that was a great moment. I love that.
That was a good moment. Like I said, he could probably be the leader in the clubhouse for AL Cy Young, of course, with Verlander still in the IL. Although I think he's supposed to come back this weekend. So
he beat him. Don't worry about it. Give it to Cease.
All right. On that note, you follow me at Keena McKee on the Twitter and at Keena McKee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sidney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Christine, where can the lovely people follow you?
Follow me at Twitter at @Manika_KXRB.
All right. Real quick. Download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Find Sports Zone Chicago all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you download our podcast at War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms. And make sure you subscribe to War Media at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can also find Sports Zone Chicago on Roku TV. That's right. You have a Roku television, just you'll go to the sports folder and download Sports Zone Chicago app. That way, if you don't have a Roku TV, you have a streaming device laying around somewhere. You have a streaming device or two. So just download the Roku TV app and you access Sports Zone Chicago that way. So get with the program, join the squad. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV.
And also, too, recapping our announcement from our buddy Sean Sierra, Eric Kramer, former quarterback for the Bears, will be joining him and Maya every Monday at 10 o'clock to recap Bears. He'll be recapping Bears and 49ers. So that's a big, get for them. Hopefully we can have him on here at some point during the season as well. So, big announcement there. We had such a loaded show, so I'm surprised we were able to get it all in.
Yes, we'd like to thank Kate Rooney from KRON4 out there in the Bay Area. She joined us to preview the NFC West and Bears and 49ers, and Mr. Jarrett Payton from WGN TV Sports in Chicago. Thank them both one and all for joining us today on the show.
And of course, our girl Christine. Can't forget our girl Christine.
Of course.
For KXRB, you'll be seeing her throughout the season with our weekly pits, and also too, if we have time, we'll talk about other sports happening. So, oh boy, okay, now I gotta take a breather here because we got
cool off.
All right, enjoy all the games out there, all the games and such. NFL, MLB, you got the WNBA finals. Of course, you got the U.S. Open, both the men's and the women's. We'll see if Tiafoe can win his first Grand Slam. Let's hope he can. And other Premier Leagues are playing this weekend, of course, with the death of the Queen. So our thoughts and prayers go out to now King Charles III. That's going to be weird to say, for not for those reasons, but from other stuff. But enjoy the games and the matches out there, folks. For Sid and Christine, I'm Lakeena. This was NCAA Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you Monday.
Da Bears and go Sox. Holla!